In this video, we're looking at commentary creators who built their platforms around drama, only to eventually become the drama themselves. By the end, you'll see how quickly a creator can lose credibility when the audience turns the spotlight back on them. Also, remember to subscribe if you enjoy these creator downfall compilations. This one begins with Parler. Creators sabotaging their own careers isn't an uncommon sight on YouTube, from Jeremy Fragrance and Mizkif to Jake Doolittle and Only JS. There are countless examples of YouTubers who destroyed everything they had and then refused to take any accountability. However, few have had a downfall as messy, chaotic, and strange as Parler, a Roblox drama YouTuber who went from exposing predators like Fave to being labeled as one himself, and even getting arrested for it not long after. He then decided to scam his own viewers out of hundreds of dollars while also sharing a lengthy document full of explicit material with the same audience, most of which were minors. Parler's career is well and truly over, and there's no one he can blame for his misfortune but himself. Parler began his YouTube journey back in May 2019, when he was just 14 years old. And being a 14-year-old on the internet, he started with what he thought was the most fun, trolling other creators to get a reaction out of them. But as time went on, he transitioned away from ragebait and started making videos on Roblox and general internet drama with a bit more sincerity.
From constant public meltdowns,
You're being oh my god, I got this guy!
to doing the unthinkable with a minor.
That said, he was still a controversy magnet, from picking fights with other creators in the community to posting some of the worst clickbait on YouTube, like somehow presenting the Palestine genocide as a Roblox issue, or straight up fabricating false tweets and statements for his thumbnails. However, unlike many other commentary channels, whose audience relies on them for factual coverage of whatever is happening on the internet, Parler's audience never had that expectation. His content was for entertainment purposes only, and his viewers loved every second of it, resulting in him amassing over 600,000 subscribers, with more than 100 million views on his videos. His antics also earned him plenty of haters across the internet, but he had a stable core audience allowing him to continue making videos on whatever topic he wanted without fear of getting cancelled. He was similar to Boogie in that regard, and just like Boogie, Parler's downfall was the direct result of him breaking the trust his audience had in him. And it all started with an accusation that no one in his community saw coming. In April 2025, Parler made a post in his Discord server announcing a massive expose video he was making on Pyrocynical. This was related to the allegations that Pyrocynical faced back in 2020, when he was accused of grooming a fan named Ivory with explicit online roleplay. There was a roughly 4-year age gap between the two, with Pyro being around 20 when it happened. However, despite the serious allegations, Pyrocynical was able to upload a detailed response, where he admitted to the roleplay, but claimed he didn't know Ivory was that young. The evidence he included was good enough to satisfy most of his audience, allowing him to successfully defend himself and move past the controversy. However, Parler was now claiming that Pyro lied about not knowing Ivory's age, which he was going to prove in his upcoming video. This could have ended up being career-ending for Pyrocynical if Parler was telling the truth. However, before Parler could make any real progress on this video, the whole thing got turned on its head. On April 20th, 2025, a throwaway Reddit account made a now deleted post on the Pyrocynical subreddit, accusing Parler of being a PDF file instead, stating, "Parler exposing Pyro for a 4-year age gap whilst dating a 12-year-old at 19. This post also included screenshots of deeply inappropriate Discord conversations, allegedly between Parler and a person named Jupe. And if the Reddit OP were to be believed, Jupe was just 12 while all of this was going on. However, this was only the beginning. More and more evidence kept coming out against Parler over the next few weeks, effectively turning the entire internet against him. His tweets were getting hit with community notes like, "Parler, in spite of reporting predators, is in fact a predator himself, and has used his platform to silence his own critics through deflection and lying." And people across the internet were calling him a groomer and a certified PDF file. The backlash was mounting quickly, and for a good reason. The messages between Parler and Jupe were concerning to say the least, with him constantly engaging in overtly explicit topics, bringing up just how horny he was again and again, and worst of all, talking about meeting Jupe in person in a hotel, and even staying together overnight. The evidence was overwhelming enough that there didn't seem to be any way for Paolo to defend himself. But just as everyone in the Roblox community was about to write off Paolo as a predator, a single revelation changed the entire situation. As it turned out, Jupe had lied to Paolo about his age, claiming that he was over 17, less than 2 years younger than Paolo, when in reality there was a 7-year age gap between the two. What made it even worse was the length Jupe went to in order to catfish Paolo. He didn't just lie about his age once, but kept doing it over the course of their relationship, going as far as to mention being born in 2007, talk about turning 18 next April, and saying stuff like, "I have college next year." Most importantly, when all of this came out, Jupe straight up admitted to lying about his age, stating, "Paolo had no reasonable way to know my age. I lied to him for over 1 year and 8 months. I used many manipulation tactics to try and convince Paolo of my age." This revelation proved Paolo's innocence, and should have been all he needed to move on with his life. However, his troubles were not over just yet, because while many on the internet now knew the truth, there were a few who wanted him to suffer as much as possible, and the most prominent name in this second group was an individual named Natspop. Nats had been a public enemy of Paolo ever since he accused Nat's friend, Nathrix, of being a groomer. According to Paolo, Nats was leading a smear campaign against him, and even accused him of being the one who posted the community note we mentioned earlier, stating, "Natspop is abusing the Twitter community note feature to defame me as a PDF file and predator after I debunked and addressed the situation where I was catfished and Jupe lied about their age. Action needs to be taken against this user. The slander and harassment is insane." However, harassing someone online is one thing. It was damaging Paolo's reputation, but it wasn't life-ruining, so Nats and his group decided to escalate and take things to the next level. They started filing police reports against Paolo, where they selectively sent over the screenshots that made him look guilty of being inappropriate with a minor. And this wasn't a hidden tactic either. Nats was openly gloating about it on Twitter, and even admitted to lying about it on a call with one of Paolo's friends.
Were you fully aware that Dupe lied about his age when you made this report?
Yes, I was fully aware.
So how many times have you communicated with this officer that you spoke with through email?
Like 5 times.
5 times, and not one of those times you actually mentioned that Dupe lied about his age? Just to clarify.
I did not
and
mention it, no. The only time that I mentioned was on the description.
Unfortunately for Paolo, this tactic worked better than Nats could have ever imagined. And on September 11th, 2025, at around 2 AM, UK police showed up at his door with the whole SWAT team and arrested him at gunpoint. He had to spend 12 hours in jail overnight before the police let him go, likely because they found evidence that the report was fake. Now, if the story ended here, Paolo would have been cleared of any wrongdoing by his audience and be allowed to move on with his regular content. He did receive 2 community guideline strikes on his channel, possibly due to Nats and co mass reporting his videos. Getting one more would have resulted in his channel getting terminated. For now, he had a clear path towards making a full comeback. But as you might have guessed from the title of this video, that's not what happened. Instead, this marked the beginning of Paolo's self-inflicted downfall that ended with him losing everything. You see, while Paolo was able to avoid any real jail time due to Natspop's false police reports, the swatting and 12 hours in jail were still incredibly traumatic.
Out of nowhere, Paolo looked outside of his window and he saw a bunch of red and blue flashing lights. There were tons of police cars outside of his house with many vans, many cars, and many officers with full-on tactical gear and rifles. At that point, Paolo went on mute. He came back and he told me that he had to leave the call because the police were telling him to get off the phone and shut off all of his devices.
Paolo had also stopped uploading and was apparently struggling with his finances as well, so Paolo opened a GoFundMe. titled "Please Help," citing his recent situation as the reason for him needing help, stating, "Recently, I have been a victim of a horrific witch hunt by a number of online individuals attempting to harass me, defame me, and ruin my life over lies. I have been since diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety, and have been prescribed medication. This situation has caused immense mental distress. I do not ask for anything that you do not feel comfortable sending, but if you wish, all I kindly ask is a small donation to help me pay for expenses, food, rent, and other amenities in this horrible period of time, also with potential funds for further action I may take." For his loyal viewers who had just witnessed their favorite YouTuber go through a rough situation, this was a no-brainer, resulting in the GoFundMe getting nearly £600 or roughly $800 in donations from fans. To them, they were helping someone in need get back on their feet, when in reality, Paolo had no need for these funds in the first place. Not long after opening this GoFundMe, Paolo apparently bought a brand new laptop and phone. Together, these two items would have easily cost close to $2,000, which brought up the question, if Paolo was struggling to even pay for his food, how was he able to afford them? That said, these purchases still didn't result in much backlash. Fans gave him the benefit of the doubt and assumed that maybe he needed them to make more videos, so it was a necessary expense, and he wouldn't have had any money left for food and rent if he purchased them without the GoFundMe. However, this good faith argument was shattered completely on November 10th, when another creator Paolo had beef with, Alex Tanuki, posted a tweet accusing Paolo of scamming his audience, writing, "For anyone in this safety space, do not donate to Paolo's GoFundMe. He's been using donations to fund random trips with hookups, and everyone involved in that situation has acted completely irresponsible." As it turned out, Paolo had sent over £1,100 to another YouTuber named Internet Adjacent, or Wolfgang, to fly them over to the UK for their intimate session. But this wasn't even the craziest part. You see, Tanuki had attached a screenshot of Wolfgang receiving the money from Paolo as proof under her tweet, a screenshot she obtained directly from Wolfgang, which is also where Paolo's most significant controversy enters the picture. As the story goes, Paolo had been in an online relationship with Wolfgang for multiple months by this point. So, in November of 2025, he sent over £1,100 to Wolfgang so he could fly over to London and stay with Paolo in a hotel. The two, however, had a severe falling out during this visit, and essentially got in a big fight. Ideally, their fight should have stayed between them offline, but Paolo had something completely different in mind. So, on the 9th of November, he made a tweet stating, "Please read, this is extremely serious." Alongside this caption was a link to a 75-page Google document. In theory, this was supposed to be an expose of Wolfgang, where Paolo accused him of essentially SA by forcing him to do things he didn't want to do, via emotional manipulation and pressure. And these would have been extremely serious allegations as well, if not for the fact that the vast majority of this document was filled to the brim with Paolo describing his and Wolfgang's time together with intimate, sometimes gross levels of detail. To say that the tone was off would be an understatement. The whole thing read less like the serious accusation he presented it as, and more like a badly written corn with cringy details and stuff no one on the internet needed to know. Most of it is so explicit that it can't even be shown on YouTube, like Paolo writing several passages about a purple adult toy the two use, which they had apparently named Cinderella. What made this post truly disturbing, however, was the fact that Paolo shared it all with an online audience of mostly minors. As a Roblox YouTuber, he knew his demographic better than anyone, yet he still decided it was appropriate to talk about his sex life in such great detail in front of them. And not only did these detailed accounts undermine the point he was trying to convey, they also made him look like a liar. Take the toy named Cinderella for instance. Paolo claimed that he didn't like it, but Wolfgang used it anyway, which would have been a terrible thing if Paolo didn't change his Twitter banner to the Cinderella movie poster as well, making a joke out of something he apparently disliked deeply. In response to these allegations, Wolfgang also posted a now deleted document providing evidence that went against everything Paolo accused him of. It included screenshots of messages from their conversations, where Paolo, who in his document made it sound like he didn't want things to turn sexual, was enthusiastically waiting for just that. Put simply, Paolo's complaints were less about something truly criminal and more about a messy fight with his partner that should have stayed private. Even if it was as criminal as he claimed, and Wolfgang was using out-of-context messages to prove his innocence, Paolo shouldn't have posted about it to his young audience in such graphic detail. He should have gone to the police and filed an official report instead. Wolfgang's response also included screenshots of him receiving the money from Paolo for the trip, adding even more fuel to the fire. Paolo tried defending himself by claiming that he didn't receive the money from the GoFundMe until after he had sent the £1,100 to Wolfgang, failing to realize that this only made him look more guilty. Think of it this way, if he had £1,100 to spend on this hookup, he didn't need to beg for any more from his fans. He could have simply not spent this money on Wolfgang and used it for essentials until he was able to earn more. In other words, him saying he didn't have enough for food or rent was more than likely a lie, which, combined with the graphic document, made even his most loyal fans question his motives. And how did Paolo deal with this new backlash? By crashing out in front of his friends and threatening to self-assassinate. Seeing his refusal to back down, one of his channel managers named Mugen took matters into his own hands. He believed that Paolo should stay as far away from the internet as possible for his own benefit, something that wasn't going to happen as long as he had his channel. So Mugen posted unlisted corn on the channel. It wasn't visible to Paolo's audience, but YouTube flagged it immediately, giving Paolo's channel a third community guideline strike and terminating it permanently. Paolo did have another meltdown on a different creator's stream after this happened.
The man himself, how's it going?
Oh, I lost everything. I mean, my fucking channel's gone. A lot of people have fucking blood on their hands now, but yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
But he has largely stayed off the internet since, which is probably the best for him. He was too chronically online and thought sharing graphic personal details with a young audience was somehow a good idea. And because of this attitude, he now has nothing to his name. Everything he worked for over the past 6 years is gone, and the fans that once supported him are also tired of his antics and refusal to act like a mature adult. So even if he somehow gets his channel, the chances of him making a comeback are slim at the best. Whilst this controversy was one of the first widely known examples of Paolo exhibiting this kind of inappropriate behavior online, it was far from the first time. Paolo seemingly has an extensive history of being a degenerate online. Back in June of 2023, Paolo created a new social media account under the name Cammy the Femboy, where he amassed almost 3,000 followers posting lewd thirst trap images of himself. Along with this new 18+ online persona, Paolo also allegedly created a Discord server known as Homotopia. This server, as the name suggests, was extremely not safe for work, and housed conversations that ventured into topics that can't be mentioned on YouTube. What makes this situation more disturbing is the fact that there are allegedly who are openly allowed to participate in this server. Whilst on one platform, Paolo was exposing predators on the internet, on another, he was creating an environment for predators to thrive in. Paolo allegedly would frequently purge all of his messages on the server, indicating that he had something to hide or that he was afraid would be made public if anyone connected the dots. Corn and inappropriate images were allegedly frequently shared within the server, despite no channels being marked as not safe for work, meaning that any minors within the server would be exposed to the degeneracy and also potentially involved. There was allegedly a text channel named IRL Media, which was dedicated for members to post photos of themselves. This text channel would allegedly house CSAM material, with a mix of adults and minors posting inappropriate images. After Paolo was exposed for running this server, and for being behind the Cammy Femboy page, he responded with a document attempting to debunk the situation, where he denied knowing about the server's issues until it got exposed, claimed he wasn't active in the server's problematic channels and only used general chat, admitted that he was quote irresponsible and negligent, and attempted to accuse the person who exposed him for trying to quote ruin his life and push him towards terminating himself. The response received a polarizing reception. Whilst some accepted the explanation of negligence, others saw it as an evasive attempt to dodge accountability. With his recent controversies in mind, both the Cammy Femboy page and Homotopia will likely face even harsher scrutiny in hindsight. Whilst working on this video, there have been some updates in terms of Paolo's plan to return and his planned response. Paolo's Twitter was suspended. Along with that, he's also made multiple announcements on his Discord server and to other YouTubers that he is planning a response and a comeback. In this Discord message he wrote, "My response video script is almost complete with full evidence, screenshots, and testimony being added now. This video proves that Wolfgang lied about me ever giving him consent. He had admitted he received no consent, he acted on his own volition." This message also included a clip from a live stream where Wolfgang, also known as Internet Adjacent, admitted something pretty disturbing.
I like put my hand on his ass and he like moved towards me. And that was like, I took that as like, it's okay.
Okay, so when you told me that you got an enthusiastic yes, that was a lie, right?
Yeah.
So as we can see, there's definitely a very complicated situation going on here, and it does seem like Paolo was put in a very strange and uncomfortable and disturbing situation when he planned this meetup with this other guy on the internet with the goal of making love. Now, whilst that situation on its own is bad, the current sentiment that I've seen across the internet is that whilst that is a very bad thing to happen on its own, that is its own incident and still doesn't justify Paolo's behavior leading up to that point, all the information he shared with his young audience afterwards. Now, Paolo has since claimed that his response has been written and that it will be 90 minutes long, where he plans to take accountability, debunk false allegations, and provide additional context around his situation and his controversy. The message says, "The script for the response video has been completed. The video will be around 90 minutes long and I will take accountability, debunk many false allegations being spread by Saith, Dr. Sonic, and other extremely bad people, provide the complete context, give a far more expansive outlook on the entire situation, and there is going to be multiple witness testimonies, numerous YouTubers in the video, hundreds of screenshots, tens of videos and screen recordings, and will cover over 20 different situations. The video will enter editing stage very soon. It will be a face cam video. This video is going to be a completely different video style. I'm approaching this very, very maturely and sincerely. This video will not be comparable to Loppy, Nathorix, Bonky Doge, Kaneko Kitten, or other responses. Give me time, and all I ask is the entire video be viewed. So from this message, Paolo does seem pretty confident in making a return and that he does have some sort of information that's going to either explain the situation better or make him look less bad than what he currently looks. And from what I understand, he's also trying to get his main YouTube channel reinstated, which he has said he will try to do in 2026. At this stage, I honestly think Paolo's best move would be to just stay off the internet entirely and just focus on his real life. I honestly think that if Paolo does respond, no matter what he says in that video, he's never going to be seen the same way again. And those things that were leaked to the internet and that he shared with his audience, he can't unshare, and the internet is never going to forget that that existed in the first place. But Paolo was not the only commentary creator whose own reputation became harder to defend. Jake Doolittle has become the textbook example of self-sabotage. He had everything a YouTuber could ever ask for, from a steadily growing channel to a loyal audience that loves their content. But it didn't take long for him to throw it all away. The moment Jake dropped his Ethan Klein expose video was the exact moment he made the biggest mistake of his career, with his video sparking questions such as, where do you draw the line between critic and hit piece? Is it when you blatantly accuse someone of lying to their audience?
As a viewer of the podcast, if I were to stand back and watch Ethan lie, saying certain things about his health that are just straight up misinformation, then I would be doing a disservice to an entire community.
Or maybe it's when you frame their medical concerns as tactics to profit from their viewers.
Klein claimed to have lupus, made money off of it, and then admitted that he made everything up and self-diagnosed himself.
Either way, making harsh claims like these will always have repercussions, and Jake found this out the hard way. The craziest thing about Jake's situation is that he had what most failing YouTubers don't: a second chance. But as you'll learn in this video, he threw it all away in spectacular fashion. Jake began his YouTube career in December 2019, but he was already making a name for himself by leveraging his past work with major creators and influencers, with uploads like working with Charlie D'Amelio and shooting for Justin Bieber. Jake knew the best way to get his name out there was to attach it to people with platforms much larger than his. This also became the foundation for one of the most popular series on his channel, in which he exposed other, often bigger creators for things like deceiving their audiences and plagiarism. And while some label Jake as a morally grandstanding hypocrite, this approach to creating content catapulted him from 500 to 250,000 subscribers in a little over 2 years. Most fans also really loved the content, with many commenters thanking him for shining light on these issues. Now, it's important to note that the thing that made these videos good was Jake's neutrality. Most of his criticism of these creators revolved around easily provable facts, and wasn't influenced by his own feelings on the matter.
Because there are articles saying members of the autistic community call out Period A rapper Brit Barbie for allegedly faking speech impediment. And so all these people have duetted it. It's this whole thing. So this guy is interviewing her, and then in the middle of the conversation, she switches to this.
Yeah, it's okay because...
But started out by saying this.
That all changed in December of 2023. When Jake released his hit piece on Ethan Klein, one of the hosts of the H3 podcast. It was clear that this particular video was fueled more by a personal grudge than a factual analysis. Little did Jake know at the time, this was about to become the biggest mistake of his entire career. However, to fully understand Jake's reasoning behind uploading such a video, we first have to rewind to his first interaction with Ethan, back in 2021. You see, Jake was working as a photographer for influencers at the time, and in August of 2021, Jake released a series of now deleted tweets accusing Charli D'Amelio of making millions of photos that he wasn't properly compensated for, with tweets reading, "I can't think about anything but the millions you made off my photos. Lol, I feel like people are misconstruing what I'm saying. Nobody asked to use my photos. I was never told the photos would be in the book. A credit in the book means nothing when they don't have your permission," as well as "me when I never got paid for photos." The situation was only intensified by the numerous articles and Twitter pages covering the story, which eventually landed Jake an appearance on the H3 podcast. During their interaction, Ethan offered Jake a listening ear and $500 for the photos he wasn't paid for.
Here's what I want to do for you though, Jake. I think the D'Amelio family could pay you like $500, right? And then you'd be happy. I mean, I'm now it's a whole different thing. Now it's a whole legal shit. I don't know. But stay on the line. I'm gonna send you $500 because the D'Amelio family didn't.
Stop it.
The D'Amelio family didn't pay you $500. I'm gonna pay because they're cheap fucking freaks.
And while Jake appreciated the generous offer, he also wanted something else from Ethan.
If you look over my resume, can you keep your $500?
Stay on the line. Are you in LA?
He did say he was subscribed.
I'm not in LA. I'm remote, but love
You're
it killing
in
it out
Maine,
of
bro.
Sweden. I bet you I could kill it.
Okay, so stay on the line. I'm gonna give you the 500. I'm gonna give you the 500 to make you whole. And remember, D'Amelio family, Ethan pays on time.
That's right.
And also send your resume. Stay on the hold. We'll get both, okay?
Jake was clearly a longtime fan of the show and wanted to use this chance to secure a spot working for Ethan. Unfortunately, all Jake received was the money he was promised and a new blueprint for content creation on his own corner of YouTube. And that's where the things ended between the two, or at least that's what it looked like on the surface. On the 13th of December 2023, Jake made a community post stating, "A YouTuber with millions of followers pretended to have chronic illness, profited off of it, then said they made it all up. New video coming soon." This left viewers speculating on whether or not his next upload would have Ethan as the primary focus. The wider H3 community and subreddits were obviously against this and tried to get Jake to reconsider his decision. But he was determined to go through with it, and by the 29th of December 2023, he published a video titled "Ethan Klein, Harmful or Hypochondriac?"
I saw a few very concerning things when it comes to Ethan Klein's lupus journey. And as someone who's been sick his entire life, I felt like I needed to make this video. If I were to stand back and watch Ethan lie, saying certain things about his health that are just straight up misinformation, then I would be doing a disservice to an entire community. Ethan Klein claimed to have lupus, made money off of it, and then admitted that he made everything up and self-diagnosed himself.
Right off the bat, Jake was framing himself as an authority on the topic of chronic illness illness and condemned the way Ethan went about his health inquiries. Jake went on to detail the various instances of Ethan referring to or sharing aspects of his medical reports and testing. At the same time, Jake berated Ethan for not pronouncing medical terms correctly and for using ChatGPT to further understand test results.
Saying that an elevated tryptase relates to leukemia is like saying that sneezing relates to sinus cancer. Ethan states that he went to check on his cholesterol levels and then seemingly read his own lab results and self-diagnosed himself based off of Google searches. He goes on to talk about a more recent test result that came in. This test is the one that Ethan runs with throughout this entire journey.
My Anna titer. This is also like leukemia and lupus and shit.
First, Anna titer makes no sense. The part that Ethan calls Anna stands for anti-nuclear antibodies. It's an acronym that Ethan pronounces Anna instead of ANA like most every medical professional does. This also adds to my claim of Ethan searching his labs and not hearing the results from an actual doctor due to the mispronunciation. According to the Mayo Clinic, in most cases, a positive ANA test indicates that your immune system has launched a misdirected attack on your own tissue. In other words, an autoimmune reaction.
According to Jake, the fact that there were elements of self-diagnosis in Ethan's approach to determining whether or not he had lupus, a disease that occurs when your immune system attacks your own tissues and organs, meant that he was spreading misinformation and harming others that suffered from chronic illness. The three main arguments that Jake made in his 40-minute long video were that 1. Ethan was misinterpreting his health data, therefore spreading misinformation. 2. Ethan was profiting off the supposed illness by collecting $1,500 in donations during the stream. And 3. That Ethan was flat out dishonest about having any illness. Many viewers felt that Jake's arguments were made in bad faith, and the like to dislike ratio on his video reflected that. However, an unhealthy dislike to like ratio was the least of Jake's problems, because when Ethan and his team soon returned from their short break, they were more than ready to address the accusations being made. At the start of the new year, Ethan shared an Instagram story that foreshadowed his reply to Jake, reading, "My face when I'm excited to return to the podcast tomorrow." Not long after, Jake left his own Instagram story begging for the backlash to stop, reading, "I'll do anything to make this stop. The death threats, telling me to kill myself and saying that I was never sick in the first place is something I cannot handle. I was trying to make a video from the perspective of a sick person and it didn't connect with everyone. I was in hospital last week after posting the video. I legitimately cannot handle anymore. I apologize to everyone involved." Regardless of how much Jake wanted this to all be swept under the rug, he had already made his hit piece and was going to answer for it. Fans of the podcast were expecting a complete massacre from Ethan, and that's exactly what they got. On the 8th of January 2024, Ethan and other members of the H3 podcast went live. But before they could react to Jake's video, he set it to private.
Oh, he just privated it. Well, it's too late, bro.
Oh, is it now?
That's true.
No, it's too late.
This was likely a last-ditch attempt from Jake to be spared from the consequences of his actions. Unfortunately for him, Ethan's team had already downloaded the whole thing, and they wasted no time tearing into every second of it. Ethan started off by giving viewers some background into who Jake was, and what he's been up to behind the scenes.
The really interesting wrinkle is that this guy's been a huge fan of ours, and actually there's been a ton of interactions of him trying to reach out and get noticed and get attention from almost everybody on the crew.
He also shared screenshots of Jake's repeated attempts to connect with various members of the H3 team. According to Ethan, Jake even went as far to approach team members of the H3 podcast in person and tried to pitch his ideas. Put simply, his video on Ethan was nothing more than a petty tantrum after being rejected from working on his podcast. Ethan also pulled up a downloaded version of Jake's video and began debunking each one of his points one by one. From dismantling Jake's arguments of self-diagnosis to pointing out the blatant bad faith at the core of the video, Ethan was presenting his side of the story and made it clear that it wasn't some joke or cash grab, but a man desperately trying to understand his health status. To top it off, Ethan possibly donated more money to the people suffering from chronic illness than the amount Jake claimed he took from viewers. By the end of this 4-hour podcast, Jake had completely shattered the trust and credibility he had built with his audience.
This is the worst takedown video ever. I mean, dude, shame on you. And you had so many chances to not do this. The preview, AB, from us, saying, dude, this is not going to work out good for you. Trust us.
Now, this could have been the end of Jake's future on YouTube. But after facing intense criticism from all corners of the internet, he did something that saved his career from total annihilation. He apologized. On the 18th of January 2024, Jake made a 3.5-minute video titled My Recent Video, which was intended to be an apology to Ethan and everyone affected by the video he previously made.
My intention was to stand up for a specific group of people, but instead I came across as an asshole. I didn't consider how my words would affect others, and for that I'm very sorry.
Now, this wasn't a perfect apology by any means. He left out a lot of things that should have been addressed. For example, Jake didn't acknowledge his accusation that Ethan misled the audience for personal gain, nor did he explain why he took it upon himself to act as the champion of the chronic illness community. But as a commenter pointed out, it was a step in the right direction, reading, "I think apologizing is a great step in the right direction, except you left out so much. Wish you put more effort into addressing specific things you said rather than general statements. Feel like that would go a much longer way." And while it didn't undo the damage that was already done to his reputation, it gave Jake another chance to prove himself. He had an opportunity to earn back his core fan base with quality content, and that's exactly what he did. He went back to his old factual self and started making videos on creators who deserved the criticism, like Sniper Wolf, Jack Doherty, and the vegan teacher. It seems like Jake took the time to reflect and learn from his past mistakes, and had finally reached a healthier mindset. He even proposed to his girlfriend in November of 2024. Things were finally looking up for his most loyal fans. That is, until the 14th of December 2024, when he threw away the little credibility he had left with a single video. At a first glance, it looked like a typical Jake Doolittle video. It was titled, "I'm frustrated with commentary YouTubers," and had I'm Alex and Cody Ko in the thumbnail. This led everybody to believe that his video would be a deep dive into the darker side of the commentary YouTuber community, like I'm Alex mentally and physically abusing his girlfriend, which I talked about extensively in this video, or at least something along those lines. But as it turned out, the video had absolutely nothing to do with Cody Ko, I'm Alex, or any commentary YouTuber for that matter. It was 100% clickbait. Now, this on its own would be enough to enrage most viewers. However, the actual contents of this video were somehow even more infuriating, leaving even the most loyal fans completely outraged at Jake. But before we dissect this video, we need some important context. You see, Jake had been struggling with chronic illness since he was just 3 years old. The pain from this illness forced him to either use a wheelchair or crutches for the majority of his life. He even raised almost $3,000 through a GoFundMe campaign to find a cure for his illness back in 2016. However, even worse than the illness was the fact that he'd been misdiagnosed multiple times, resulting in his condition getting even worse over the years. Eventually, his own situation inspired him to start a charity in September of 2022 called Never Stop, with a fairly straightforward mission statement. Never Stop is a charity for the diagnosed, the misdiagnosed, and everything in between. Our goal is to provide financial assistance to people in long-term financial and physical crisis. It has also raised over $12,000 for people in need. So, assuming the proceeds of this charity actually reached the needy, it was 100% a good thing and no one had any issues with it. That is, until Jake, in all his wisdom, ruined the reputation of his charity with his video titled, "I'm frustrated with commentary YouTubers." As I mentioned earlier, this video wasn't actually about commentary YouTubers. Instead, it was about his charity and how no one was making any donations to it.
There has been no YouTuber who has ever inquired or donated any money to Never Stop.
Giving him the benefit of the doubt, perhaps Jake believed that he was raising awareness for his cause and charity. However, to call his execution poor would be a complete understatement. The whole thing came off as a tone-deaf attempt at guilt-tripping his audience and other YouTubers for not being charitable enough. And one viewer summed it up perfectly. Quote, "I've had people who unfollowed me and lost the opportunity to change lives. What a goober. I've never in my life seen a YouTuber guilt trip his former audience for unfollowing. Like, this is beyond pathetic." Throughout this video, Jake also came across as extremely entitled, and that he somehow deserved other people's money. This became glaringly obvious when he talked about knowing YouTubers with plenty of money who, despite their wealth, weren't donating to his charity.
A lot of these YouTubers love talking about holding people accountable for their wrongdoings and all that kind of shit, but when I try to say, hey, if you have any extra money, we are giving $500 a month. I know that you just put on your close friend story that you're making 15 grand off this brand deal. Hey, I would love the help. My views are down, but you're getting, I don't know, 50,000 subs a month. What are we doing here?
And sure, even this could be dismissed as just a horribly worded plea for donations. But then, Jake stooped to something that could only be described as the lowest of the low. He tried to blackmail other YouTubers.
I'm not going to name names, but I would like you to know that I am going to name names at some point, possibly next month or so, if my following up with these people amounts to nothing and I keep getting ghosted.
In other words, Jake essentially threatened to publicly name and shame YouTubers who refused to donate to his charity. This, combined with the fact that his charity was only helping a single person at a time, made people who would have donated otherwise in the future turn their backs. The response to this was perfectly summarized by a commenter under the video, which read, "This is effing yucky. Donate to my charity or else." Like, does he understand that most people wouldn't be enticed by we help one person per month right now, and they don't have a long history of running and navigating the challenges that come from these organizations? And as if this wasn't bad enough, he even tried to insinuate that the YouTubers who weren't donating to his charity were dumb, because they didn't know they could deduct the donation from their taxes.
Within the last 6 months, how come other nonprofits that are doing between $10 and $30 million a year in donations are willing to talk to me, but these fucking YouTubers cannot give $500 in a one-time payment out of their, I don't know, 50 grand that they're making a month? And by the way, all of this you can write off on your taxes. I don't know how many times I have to say this. These are people who are getting a shit ton of money and will not know what to do at tax time. And this is a way to offset that fucking tax bill. But I guess there's no knowledge there.
And to top it all off, he even admitted that he made this whole video because he was petty.
Because I'm petty, and because this isn't about supporting me, it's about supporting people who need the support. I'll give a bunch of examples about how YouTubers have ghosted me and not wanted to help with Never Stop.
As you might imagine, the backlash to this video was immediate and immense, resulting in Jake deleting the whole thing in less than 24 hours. And to this point, there was nothing he could do nor say to make the situation better, so he decided to make it worse instead. A day after the original video, Jake went live from his phone and said that he was going to clarify the original video and address any concerns the viewers had. In reality, most of the stream was him talking about how bad his life was and how this was his 10th knee surgery.
I'm about to schedule fucking 2 more knee surgeries. I have no. It'll be like my 10th and 11th knee surgery.
If the same thing was said by Jake from early 2023, he would have been showered with love and support from his community. Unfortunately, his own actions had destroyed any sympathy people had left for him. With one viewer writing, "It's pissing me off that you can't stop mentioning your health. We don't care. It's pretty easy to not blackmail people for money, and your health isn't an excuse." Some even speculated that he deliberately timed the charity video right before his surgery, so he could use it as a shield against the backlash he knew was going to get for that video. But despite the overwhelmingly negative response from his viewers, Jake wasn't done. He made one last attempt at saving his dying career. On the 15th of December 2024, Jake uploaded his latest response to the controversy, simply titled "Addressing Everything." But despite the almost 30-minute length of this video, it doesn't contain anything that could slow down the barrage of backlash being directed at him. And while some of his viewers are fuming with anger, like this one person who wrote, "Why did you clickbait using violence against women? You specifically used faces of commentary YouTubers known for mistreatment of women." Besides the entitlement of others' money, the assertion that the only way for rich people to do some good is to give it to you, then you clickbaited with Cody Co, an alleged racist, and I'm Alex, an abuser. Why would you do that, Jake? The vast majority of his fans were simply done with Jake and his future content. They already gave him a second chance after the whole debacle with Ethan, and even cheered him on as he went back to making good content that people wanted to watch. However, clickbaiting is
his viewers, blackmailing other creators, acting entitled to their money, and refusing to take any accountability for his actions is a step too far for even his most loyal fans to justify. He is desperately trying to ignore the backlash and continue posting like nothing happened. But as it stands, I don't see a way for him to make a second comeback anytime soon.
And when commentary creators start losing credibility, the collapse can spread fast. From millions of views per video to barely struggling past a few thousand, Blasphemous HDTV has had one of the most pitiful downfalls in YouTube history, and he has no one but himself to blame for his demise. It's hard to believe this now, but there was a time when Blasphemous HD was considered the golden standard for reaction content. Instead of just re-uploading popular content with his emotionless face in the corner, he would actually pause whatever he was watching and add meaningful or funny commentary.
God damn! Dude, I feel for the cameraman on that one. His was like this close from getting tail whipped.
His large personality and often hilarious reactions resonated with millions of people who tuned in to watch his videos every single day. Compare that to today, and his situation couldn't be more miserable, with one sad fan writing, "I miss the old BHD. I remember the days coming back from school to watch BHD. Back in 2013 to 2016, I probably would have said he's the best YouTuber out there, but now he's a sad shell of his former self, with weird Dolomite tattoos on his arms." But the thing is, unlike many other YouTubers who experience a downfall, there wasn't a single major controversy or drama that tanked Blasphemous HD's career. Rather, his monumental fall-off is caused by a series of bad decisions and blunders that slowly eroded the love his fans had for him over the years. These blunders include everything from his treatment of his friends and girlfriend to a drastic shift in quality of his content. However, to fully understand why Blasphemous HD fell off so hard, we first have to understand how he got so popular in the first place. Richard Maurice Stanley Barnett started his YouTube career back in 2008 with a channel in his real name called Maurice Barnett. Content on his channel was a complete mixed bag of horror games, skits, song covers, and storytime videos. He posted on his channel until 2013 before moving on to a brand new channel called Blasphemous HD Gaming. As the name suggests, this channel was mainly focused on gaming related content.
That was dumb.
However, in addition to the gaming content, Maurice also started posting storytime videos and turned them into an ongoing series.
Alright, so I'm working at Walmart back in the day. And Walmart, they used to treat their customers like gold. And they used to treat their employees like so much so that the customers even started treating the employees like.
And after nearly 5 years on YouTube, this is where Maurice's career first started taking off. He was now consistently gaining new subscribers as viewers were genuinely interested in his over-the-top gameplay reactions, as well as his unique and often hilarious stories. It was so successful, in fact, that Maurice decided to go all in and created 3 new channels in the next 2 years. Blasphemous HD TV in November of 2014, Blasphemous HD Pranks the same month, and Blasphemous HD TV 2 a year later in November of 2015. With these new channels under his belt, Maurice diversified his content even more. Blasphemous HD TV and Blasphemous HD TV 2 were mainly reaction channels, where he would post his reactions to anything and everything, from ghost sightings to horror animations.
No.
After the shot was enhanced and had light added, the child resembled an angry ghost heading towards the birthday girl.
Oh, hell no. Nope. People wonder why I'm not celebrating my birthday today.
Blasphemous HD Pranks was focused on prank videos with the new crew members he assembled for content.
It's not in anything. So, I don't know what it is. What the f?
These new additions included Chavez, Randy Jackson, Brandy P, Dr. Girlfriend, who was Maurice's partner at the time, and his brother KTTV. You can think of it as an early version of the Content House model that was later adopted and popularized by the likes of David Dobrik and the Paul brothers. And it worked flawlessly. By 2018, his 4 main channels had nearly 4 million subscribers in total. All of his videos on the main channel were also clearing 1 million views without any issues. Most importantly, viewers actually
loved the content Maurice and his friends were putting out, regardless whether it was a reaction to something, a prank, or a vlog. Unfortunately, 2018 would also mark the beginning of the end for Maurice's media empire. His career has been in constant decline ever since, and only seems to be getting worse by the day. So what happened? How did such a successful and beloved YouTuber become nearly forgotten by the internet? As I briefly mentioned earlier, Blasphemous HD didn't come crashing down as a result of a single big controversy. Instead, its descent into irrelevance was fueled by a series of blunders by Maurice, the first of which was cheating on his then girlfriend Karen, aka Dr. Girlfriend. It all started in 2016, when Maurice's channels were growing at an incredible pace. During this time, Dr. Girlfriend had also become a consistent part of his content, and the fans loved her dynamic with Maurice in the videos.
You don't have any product?
Well, please don't ever touch me again.
Oh my
What a dick!
God.
What a dick! What a dick!
The shade.
That wasn't even shade. That was just flat out. Don't touch me.
They really wanted to fight.
She was trying to make it seem jokingly. He's the one who made it uncomfortable. Girl in the blue was just kind of like.
I feel bad for her. She's just sitting like.
So yeah, those trees are blooming, huh? Look at that shiny ground.
Everything was going well, but then one day, Maurice woke up to something extremely shocking. His girlfriend of 5 years had her bags packed and was ready to break up with him and leave. But before you feel bad for Maurice, know that the reason she broke up with him so suddenly was because she found out that he'd been cheating on her for quite some time. Maurice announced the breakup a while later, in a tweet stating, "Remember the news I couldn't tell y'all a while ago? Well, I'm single now. Dating is gonna breed so many new dating horror story times." This left the viewers shocked, as many of them enjoyed seeing the two together in videos. This announcement was also quite vague, which made fans speculate over the reason behind this sudden breakup. However, they wouldn't get a concrete answer until January of 2018, when Chavez uploaded a video to his personal channel titled, "Why Don't Chavez and BHD Hang Out Anymore?" In this video, Chavez detailed the whole story of what actually happened behind the scenes. According to him, Maurice told him about how he's been cheating on Dr. Girlfriend with various Instagram models. He also told this to Chavez's girlfriend, Skitten, who was also best friends with Dr. Girlfriend, leading to Dr. Girlfriend finding out as well as eventually breaking up with him. And the reason Chavez made this video 2 years after the breakup was because Maurice was making up lies that Skitten was the one who cheated on Chavez with him.
Him and Dr. Girlfriend had an argument. Dr. Girlfriend was talking to us about it when she came over to the crib, that they had an argument and Skitten's name came up somehow in their argument, and he decided Skitten must have told Dr. Girlfriend something, so she helped figure out that he was cheating, right? But at the end of the day, I don't really give. I mean, even if my girlfriend did tell Dr. Girlfriend that he was cheating. That's what she should have did. So who cares? I think the only reason now that he's saying that it was really Skitten cheating on me is so that now when I bring this up, it makes it really confusing. Like, who's cheating on who? Who's trying to fuck who?
But things would get a lot more clear when Skitten also posted a video titled, "I tried to sleep with my best friend's ex," with a very special guest, Dr. Girlfriend. In the video, she basically confirmed what Chavez had revealed in his video.
What is the reason that you and BHD broke up?
Well, he cheated on me with multiple different women. So
She also revealed that Maurice had been cheating on her for 3 years in their 5-year relationship.
How long were you together again?
Almost 5 years.
And how many of those years was he cheating on you?
About 3 of those.
Oh, 3 you say?
In other words, he spent more time cheating on her than he did being loyal to her. Dr. Girlfriend did mention that it had been years since their breakup and she had completely moved on from him. However, while she was in a better emotional space, this reveal was a devastating blow to longtime fans of Blasphemous HD, who were now seeing the true colors of their beloved YouTuber. However, they were still waiting for a response from Maurice about the whole situation, hoping that this was all a lie and that he would reveal the real truth. Unfortunately, they kept waiting, but the response never came. That is until 2021, a whole 3 years after the reveal, when Maurice showed interest in addressing the matter, but there was a catch. You see, after having monetization issues on YouTube, Maurice decided to create his own website at blasphemoushDTV.com. This site would feature exclusive content that was locked behind a paywall, and to drive traffic to this new website, he announced that the video talking about his breakup would be one of these exclusives on his site. It was extremely clear that he was just using one of his past controversies as a cheap cash grab to drive subscriptions on his website. However, people were still interested in what he had to say about the whole thing. Sadly, his response wasn't even close to what loyal fans were hoping for.
So look, so with the whole Dr. Girlfriend stuff, I'm gonna tell y'all why I cheated. Like, for real, for real. I've studied some psychology on manipulative people, and this is what they do, bro. They get you to a place of depression. They beat you down psychologically and then feed you with scraps, give you a little bit of taste good, right? Because she was depressed. So yeah, I went and got a different chick. I like a month into sexlessness with Dr. Girlfriend because she sucked.
So instead of denying the allegations or presenting evidence to show that he didn't cheat, he straight up confirmed that he did cheat. But as if cheating on his girlfriend wasn't bad enough, he not only refused to take any responsibility, but also tried to make it seem like he was the victim in all of this. According to Maurice, he cheated because Dr. Girlfriend wasn't a good partner because of her depression, with a commenter stating, "Bruh, cheating on someone that is depressed makes it even worse." But for the sake of argument, let's assume for a second that he was truly unhappy with Dr. Girlfriend. Even then, there is zero justification for him cheating on her. If he was genuinely unhappy with their relationship, he could have broken up with her first, and then got involved with whoever he wanted after that. By the end, his decision to cheat on his depressed girlfriend and then use the situation to promote his website years later left even his most loyal fans with a bad taste in their mouths. However, this was only the first of many mess-ups that led to his utter decline. For some additional context, one of the primary factors that fueled his growth between 2014 and 2016 was his relationship with his friends. Fans of the channel adored their interactions and were thoroughly entertained by their antics. However, by 2018, Maurice managed to somehow destroy his relationship with every single member of the original group. Dr. Girlfriend obviously stopped appearing in Blasphemous' videos after their breakup, but since Maurice believes Skitten was the one who told Dr. Girlfriend about him cheating, both Skitten and Chavez stopped associating with him as well.
You make up all these lies for who knows what? Nobody cares. People are completely content with, we had a falling out, because it's what happened. They want the details, they don't need the details. It's hurtful details. You cheated on your ex, and you took it out on your friends, and you lied to one of your best friends. You said, oh, he wasn't my best friend, blah, blah, blah. I didn't trust him that much. Dude, we saw each other for like 13 hours, 7 days a week for 8 months.
And it was only a matter of time before Randy and Brandy left the group as well. And just like with the breakup, fans of the channel were once again left guessing the reason why the entire group separated out of nowhere. They would eventually get the answers about Chavez and Skitten when they exposed Maurice for cheating on Dr. Girlfriend in 2018. However, it would take another 3 years before Brandy and Randy would come forward with their stories. As we discussed earlier, when Maurice responded to Chavez and Skitten's expose, he tried to blame them for everything that happened between him and Dr. Girlfriend. This encouraged Brandy to come forward with her side of the story and share her experience working with Maurice on his channel and as his editor.
Blasphemous HD decided to make a video promoting his website and then bringing up some shit that happened a long ass time ago, for one. But then two, why would you need to say any other things that you said? Like, it's just a bunch of extra shit that had nothing to do with the fight that they had. We're all basically no longer friends because he cheated on his girlfriend.
In her hour-long video titled The Truth About Blasphemous HD, Brandy talked about how Maurice's personality took a sharp downturn after gaining wealth and success from YouTube. She also revealed that Maurice would essentially force members of the group to do things they weren't comfortable with, all in the name of content.
So yeah, when we were doing that, super awkward. I don't know if you guys can tell, like, from the video.
Let's do this. Hurry up, Brandy, mount me. Let's do this. I don't want to do it.
If I look awkward, I mean, I'm laughing and I'm like, because I'm going with the video.
And how did Maurice respond to this? By laughing maniacally and acting like a deranged, immature child.
Hurry up, Brandy, mount me. Let's do this.
Following this, Brandy made a part 2 to her video, this time with another former member of the Blasphemous group, Randy Jackson. This time she revealed even more details of her awful experience working under Maurice. Apparently, Maurice was even cutting her salary near the end of her employment, likely just to be petty.
He asked me to quit my job to come edit And I didn't do that. I took some time off. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not getting paid for my job, and I can't just go back because I already have this time, and you're cutting my pay. So he cut my pay. Then right after that, he fired me because he got mad.
However, stealing wages paled in comparison to what Brandy and Randy hinted at later in the video. In part 1, Brandy mentioned how Maurice was more than willing to buy alcohol for her and her friends, even though they were underage.
We became friends because he was older than us. He could already buy alcohol for us because he was of age and we were all like underage, right? So like we couldn't get alcohol.
As it turns out, buying alcohol for minors was just the tip of the iceberg, because after getting drunk with the underage girls, he would allegedly try to get handsy with them under the guise of, quote, playing.
Niggas in upstairs in his boxes or whatever, and he's like, yo, I didn't really feel like editing today. And so like when I got there, I had to edit the fucking embarrassing. I had to edit out the fight and shit. Or not the fight, but him yelling at me. There was a lot of me editing out certain jokes that he would make. I just feel like maybe that joke shouldn't be told and it's a little inappropriate. And he's like, well, I tell inappropriate jokes. And I was like, I know. But I just felt like that one in particular. Child endangerment! Oh, was inappropriate, but I'll put it back.
If true, buying alcohol for minors is one thing, but then proceeding to flirt with them is a whole nother level of depravity. Even if we give him the absolute benefit of the doubt and assume it was all a joke, it's still extremely inappropriate and downright criminal. About 30 minutes into the video, both Randy and Brandy also called out Maurice for doing some unspeakable things behind closed doors, essentially accusing him of being a PDF file indirectly.
We're not gonna out what it is.
We already did.
That you're doing. Okay, you know what we're talking about. Stop.
We're just not confirming.
Stop. Don't do it. No more.
Whether this particular allegation is true or not, it still doesn't change the fact that Maurice is not a good person, and even most loyal fans were unable to defend him from anything that had come out against him at this point. Whether that be cheating on his girlfriend, trying to play the victim card instead of taking responsibility, exploiting this controversy to promote his website, forcing his friends to do things they weren't comfortable with, stealing wages from his editor, or buying alcohol for underage girls and allegedly being inappropriate with them. There was simply too much for any longtime fan to handle, leading to almost all of them abandoning Maurice's many channels to die a slow, painful death. This even made some fans question how they could ever support such a bad person. But that's just it. From everything we've seen, Maurice wasn't like this from the start. Think of it this way, if he was abusive and disrespectful from the start, he would never gather a group of friends, let alone make content with them for multiple years. So this begs the question, what changed? Why did he go from a normal person to someone who had zero respect for the feelings of others around him? The answer to that, like most other things in life, is money. He simply let success and money get to his head, where he started seeing everyone else as beneath him.
Just can't surround myself with people who not only, you know what I mean, like I can understand if little shit for himself, but if you don't want for me, like that's when I gotta get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? You know, I like success. I'm not gonna sit down and not release videos and not work out. Too bitter, bro. Talk it out with him. Yo, Elijah the Great. Sucker. Yeah, that nigga can go himself, and I would not care. Randy could himself, I would not care.
But here's the thing, the sad reality of the internet is that you can be an awful person and still retain a large portion of your audience. Just look at Logan Paul. He's extremely successful even after a mountain of controversies, including stealing millions of dollars from his fans through crypto scams. Not to downplay his actions, but most of what Blasphemous HD did to his friends feels like nothing compared to every terrible thing Logan has done over the years. What sets Maurice apart from Logan is that he allowed his inflated ego to ruin his content as well. After the 2016 fallout with his friends, there was bound to be a major decline in quality of content Maurice could produce on his own, but it was still salvageable. There was definitely an audience for his bold reactions and unique storytime videos. However, before he could successfully steer the ship solo, it got hit by a torpedo and sank to the bottom. Blasphemous HD TV, his main channel with over 2 million subscribers, got permanently suspended by YouTube for copyright issues and hate speech. This was a massive blow to his overall YouTube empire. Fortunately, this ban was not extended to any of his other channels, so he still had a solid platform to facilitate a comeback. Unfortunately for his fans, Maurice was done putting in effort. After the ban, he started posting reaction videos on his second biggest channel, Blasphemous HD TV 2. However, this time, his energetic and analytical approach to reactions was now replaced with minutes of silence and empty laughs as the Try Not to Laugh and Family Guy clip played in the corner.
Don't write on that.
Calling this type of content slop would be an understatement, but he continued uploading the same soulless videos over and over again. Considering his inflated ego, it's probably the reason behind his decline in content quality as well. He likely thought that people would just keep watching no matter how little effort he put into his content. In doing so, he neglected the fact that he initially became successful because of his personality and commentary, not because of the content he was reacting to. And now that there was zero personality in his reactions, audiences had no reason to watch him. Plus, the 160th reaction to funny TikTok compilations is bound to get stale. At this point, Blasphemous HD is a husk of what it used to be. However, a few of his former viewers are nostalgic about the peak years of his content and wish to see more of what it used to be. With a Reddit comment reading, "I used to watch Blast all the time from 2016 to 2018. It's just not the same anymore." For most of his former viewers, however, Blasphemous HD TV has become a relic of the past, and they have very little interest in revisiting it. One person perfectly summarized the public sentiment on Reddit, stating, "That's all his channel has become, a load of boring reactions and him reacting to the same old videos pretending he's never seen them before. His viewership has not only declined because of that, but because of how he is as a person, how poorly he treats his friends, and even cheated on his own girlfriend because she was depressed, and is lying to his own fans, trying to play the victim card to fool his supporters and make them look stupid. It's sad to see this chaotic downfall of Blasphemous, but at the end of the day, he did this to himself, and he has no one else to blame but himself." So, is there any more hope for Maurice? Well, technically speaking, yes, there is. He can try to reinvent himself by putting more effort into his content to capture a brand new audience, one that is unaware of his history. A comeback of that magnitude would require significant effort, even if he were fully committed to making the necessary changes. However, this seems less plausible, given that he threatened to throw acid water on Dontai in October of this year, with a tweet from Dontai reading, "Why are you in your Discord, Blasphemous HD, threatening to throw acid water on me and talking about my wife, huh?" Looking at Blasphemous's channel now, despite having 1.78 million subscribers, he's struggling to even break 10,000 views per video, and doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon.
From there, the story shifts to one of the most controversial names in old YouTube commentary. There was a time when Leafy was on the top of YouTube. Millions of viewers waited for his every upload, while memes starting from his channel spread to every corner of the internet. Fast forward to 2025, however, and you won't find Leafy anywhere. He's been banned from practically every major platform on the planet, and has been simply forgotten by the internet. Though, looking back, it's not hard to see why.
So last night I'm chilling with my boy. No big deal, right? We're talking about some of the best content on YouTube, right? And in the middle of our discussion, we got in a little bit of an argument on what the best video on YouTube was. I, of course, was showing him one of the most emotional videos on YouTube, and one of the fan favorites. And that video is Keemstar to me.
The content that made him popular was toxic to say the least. He had no issues punching down on small creators, even the ones suffering from autism and mental illnesses.
Subscribe, support, stay positive. You know?
I'm sorry.
There wasn't a line he wouldn't cross for content, until the internet got fed up with his antics, causing him to lose everything he'd built for himself. And while he's made several attempts at a comeback since, each one of them has ended in a total disaster. Calvin Lee Vale, better known online as Leafy, started his YouTube journey on October 7th, 2011, when he was just 16 years old. Though, despite his young age, he was already a hustler looking to earn some cash with his pay-to-win Minecraft server called ParaPvP. He even created his YouTube channel partially to advertise this server, as he often posted videos of himself playing on it. The rest of his channel was filled with Minecraft Let's Plays as well.
Alright, so Aaron, or Alvin, I think it is gonna fight us. Oh my god. R-E-K-T!
He likely wanted to become a gaming YouTuber just like most other new creators at the time. However, despite his efforts, his early Minecraft videos received little to no views. That all changed, however, when another Minecraft YouTuber with over 20,000 subscribers called Static777 liked one of Leafy's videos. This gave Leafy the exposure he needed to earn his first 50 subscribers on the platform. From there, he kept gaining new viewers at a slow but but steady pace, allowing him to enter the YouTube Partner Program at 700 subs and eventually reach the 10,000 subscriber milestone by the end of 2012. These views also converted into many new players checking out his Minecraft server, engaging with the pay-to-win mechanics, and ultimately helping Leafy earn over $100,000 in revenue. However, the stress of running a server, the constant infighting with other server owners, and DDoS attacks were too much for him to handle. So, sometime in late 2013, he stepped away from the server and focused almost entirely on his YouTube channel that had over 17,000 subs by this point. His videos talking about the server drama in videos also gave him the idea to branch away from gaming and venture into commentary style content.
Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be talking about DDoSing.
However, while this new format started off with him just telling different stories from his life, it wasn't long before these videos took a much darker turn. As 2015 rolled around, he transitioned away from gaming and storytelling content completely. Instead, his focus shifted to talking about and making fun of other creators on the internet.
People are gonna judge you no matter what you choose to do.
What the f is that lipstick? Dude, it's so thick, it looks so hard. It looks like a piece of clay. Ugh! Like, who would want to kiss that, dude? It looks so fucking thick, it looks like a piece of paint.
This became a bigger success than Leafy could have ever imagined, and there's no better indicator of the virality of these videos than his sub count, which went from 100,000 subscribers in August 2015 to over 4.9 million just a year later. Leafy had become a well-known name on YouTube, but unlike many other YouTubers who earned their fame and fortune through hard work and good content, Leafy's rise was built almost entirely on toxicity, bullying, and a tendency to cross the line. The vast majority of his uploads during this time were nothing more than roast sessions of other, often smaller creators. It didn't matter if his target was a young child trying to start on YouTube with Minecraft, just like he did.
Today I'm gonna be showing you one of my favorite Let's Play channels, and let's just fucking play it right now, okay?
Hey guys, it's Super Minecraft Kid here, and I'm gonna be doing some freaking survival games, you freaking... Stop freaking lagging!
Well, the bar has been set for videos, guys. This is the new bar, okay? Just... like, it's almost so bad that it's hilarious. Like, the video starts off, and you already know it's gonna be a video.
Or a man with autism trying to do good in life.
Subscribe, support, stay positive.
Play that one more time, please. Just one more time.
Subscribe, support, stay positive. You know?
I'm sorry. Oh my god.
And the worst part is, his audience gobbled it all up. He was getting massively rewarded for just turning on his microphone, insulting someone for 10 minutes, and uploading it to YouTube with unrelated gameplay footage and minimal editing. So he kept on posting more and more of these videos, pushing the boundary every time to keep his audience entertained. Like his video on a small YouTuber named Mr. Black Darkness 666, titled The Saddest Man on YouTube. Leafy somehow came across a video of Vlad, the host of the channel, complaining about his life and proceeded to laugh at every second of it. From Vlad's mention of his poor living conditions.
This is where I live. I live up there, where you can see the grapes. Yeah, I know it's a dump, and I hate it here.
His appearance.
Dude, the eyeshadow with the long dyed hair straightened out, the contacts. It takes this motherfucker probably like 40 minutes to get dressed. And look, don't get me wrong, you can wear whatever you want. You can walk outside with a pancake on your head as a hat. You can do whatever you want. But I'm gonna be real with you, dude. I'm gonna give you the hard truth. You look ridiculous, dude.
To the way Vlad talked.
Small-minded and discriminating this town really is, okay?
What is this guy talking like a anime character? He's like, I'm gonna show you how shitty this town is. Okay? Alright, let's go. Pikachu, lead the way!
Now, Vlad's whole goth aesthetic could be considered a bit out there, but he didn't deserve getting roasted in front of millions of people on the internet because of it. Leafy, however, didn't care one bit about the impact his videos had on the subject, but his victims did. Vlad, for example, saw the video, and the thousands of people calling him all kinds of names in the comments, and had a meltdown on camera. But instead of showing even a semblance of remorse, Leafy doubled down, and saw the response from Vlad as nothing more than content fuel.
Hello, you. I finally decided to make another video.
Well, what the f is this shit, dude? I was about to welcome you back, then you call everybody an asshole? Jesus Christ, right off the start he's being edgy and... What is that chest hair, by the way? Like, I get it that this is like one of those videos where it's like, distress just barely happened, but like, why don't you just button up your shirt? I'm just saying.
This back and forth continued for a few more videos, including Vlad performing a satanic ritual to curse Leafy.
Today, I'm going to show you one of my dark rituals.
Before the two made up on Keemstar's Drama Alert.
I'm sorry, Mr. Black Darkness 666.
So, Mr. Darkness, do you still want him to die?
No, I guess not.
The thing is, despite Vlad getting genuinely distressed by the harassment he'd received thanks to Leafy's video, his downright ridiculous actions, like the satanic ritual, overshadowed any backlash Leafy might have received from this whole fiasco. Instead, this became nothing more than entertaining YouTube drama to the viewers, and ultimately taught Leafy nothing. Something that became apparent from the video he posted about one of his next targets named Tommy NC 2010.
Every day you're walking around and you're doing, you see the strangest things.
Holy dude, I always see the strangest things too. I completely agree with that. But one of the strange things that I haven't seen yet is a grown man with a fedora on about to vlog himself and someone else in the middle of a parking lot. Because holy, that would be awesome. But hey, you never know, man. Maybe I'll see it someday, right?
He found a video of Tommy helping someone at the grocery store and then vlogging about it on YouTube, and saw it as prime material for his, as he puts it, satire videos.
How does saving someone's eggs in the middle of a Walmart parking lot turn into, let me record you for my YouTube channel so everyone can see how good of a person I am? How does that, where does it escalate to that? Because again, there's nothing wrong with this fedora wearing motherfucker saving someone's eggs. Good for you. You're a great guy, okay? Good job. Here's your star. But why does he have to record it?
What Leafy failed to understand, or knowing him purposefully ignored, was that Tommy was on the autism spectrum. These videos were his way of spreading a positive message of doing good in life and helping others as much as one could. Leafy's video on him, however, drowned all of that goodwill with hate and toxicity, causing him to break down on camera.
A difficult time right now. Because some people are threatening my life, threatening my family, and all I wanted to do was inspire people. Some Leafy guy or Team Starred people are threatening me, and all I wanted to do was inspire. That's all.
Now, there were still some fanboys who defended Leafy through all of this, like this one comment stating, Leafyus here does say in the description that those videos are for entertainment, nothing else, as if that gave him a free license to say and do whatever he wanted. These videos weren't satirical or anything of that nature. Leafy was just bullying and punching down on smaller creators for the express purpose of getting as many views as possible. Fortunately, many, even among his own audience, were understandably upset over his video on Tommy, forcing him to apologize.
I'm not going to sit here and try to redirect the blame. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses, and I'm willing to admit that I am in the wrong here.
But even then, most of his apology was just excuses about not knowing Tommy was autistic, completely missing the point that unleashing millions of fans on a small creator was the real issue, regardless of his condition. However, while this controversy didn't put much of a dent in Leafy's YouTube career at the time, it certainly marked the
beginning of his eventual downfall. Up until this point, Leafy saw himself as the top dog of YouTube, someone who could make fun of others all he wanted without any consequences. After all, he'd gained tens of millions of viewers and over 4.8 million subscribers in just a single year by doing exactly that. But what he didn't realize was that his reputation was about to be destroyed beyond repair. All from a single video by another YouTuber known for roasting others. On the 12th of September 2016, iDubbbz dropped a nearly 20-minute long content cop on Leafy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Content Cop. As you can probably tell, I can hardly contain myself right now, because today is the day we get to bully Leafy.
To put it simply, this gave Leafy a taste of his own medicine, as the first thing Ian did in his video was roast his appearance, specifically his weak chin, just like he'd been doing to many others before.
I think my only stipulation with the bullying is that you also have to not be a... You see, because if you're and you're hiding your putrid, malformed chin behind your hand, your sleeve, or your microphone, you're showing people that you are extremely self-conscious. You're showing people that you're... And that takes a lot of the oomph out of your bullying.
Before getting into the many contradictions and hypocritical behaviors of Leafy, like how he always prefaced his insults with enough padding to avoid any backlash.
Driving a car, the Minecraft logo in the corner, his teeth. Nah, Dad, I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today.
I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today after showing a picture of his f***ed up snaggletooth to my millions of followers. A zoomed in picture of his f***ed up snaggletooth. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today.
And how often he tried to act dumb so he could feign ignorance if anyone caught him out on it.
Yo, is this person...
Yes.
Yo, is this person...
Yes, she's Is that the answer you're looking for? She's Oh no, I guess I'm the one who looks like an asshole here, because you were just asking the question. I had to answer it for you. You got me good, Leafster.
Ian then moved on to tearing apart Leafy's response to his content cop on Keemstar, proving that nothing mattered more to Leafy than the views on his videos. You see, Leafy and Keemstar used to be close friends, and were often seen hanging out with each other on social media. But then, in May of 2016, Ian released a content cop on Keemstar, resulting in him getting roasted by every corner of the internet. And instead of standing by his longtime friend, Leafy saw the trend and immediately changed his tone to where Keemstar had always been an awful person to him, which is what Ian called him out for in his video.
Keemstar's been talking me and one of my good friends, Grade A Under A, who's also a YouTuber, straight up to multiple different people, and on top of that, behind our backs.
Holy sh**. Behind your backs? Wow! Man, you can read people really well, Leafy. How did you even become friends with him in the first place? There were no videos of him online being a psychopath at that time. That's all a new thing. Wow, you guys must be great judges of character if you were surprised by Keemstar going behind your back.
And he covered all of this in less than 6 minutes of the 20-minute long content cop. And Ian carried that same energy through the rest of the video as well, at one point going as far as printing out posters of Leafy's weak chin and roasting him around town.
I'm giving away some prizes over here. All it takes is hiding a chin.
However, what made all of Ian's roasts and callouts sting a lot more was the fact that his video ended up getting over 14 million views by the end of December, exposing Leafy in front of a much bigger portion of the internet. Leafy was now facing backlash from two opposing sides. First, from those who hated him for farming smaller creators and kids for content. That was understandable. But even the people fine with that part of his content turned on him, since to them, he now seemed like a complete coward who acted tough but couldn't stand behind his own opinions. To make matters worse for Leafy, YouTube also started becoming a lot more strict with its harassment policy around this time, and many of his older videos were getting deleted because of it. There was a good chance that he'd get banned if he continued making the same content. While he tried to keep things going for another year, the mounting pressure from YouTube combined with the backlash from iDubbbz's content cop forced him to disappear from the internet in December of 2016.
2017. Now, many assumed that this was the end of Leafy, that he'd retired from YouTube for good and would never come back, when in reality, he was just waiting for the right moment to attempt a comeback. And this moment was given to him on a silver platter in March of 2020, when iDubbbz posted a video defending his girlfriend's new OF account. This video was received extremely poorly by a large portion of his audience, giving Leafy the perfect opportunity to swoop in with a video on the man responsible for his downfall.
My girlfriend started an OnlyFans account, which is a website where you can upload amateur anything from double penetration all the way over to lewd cosplay and everything in between. And I think all of it is cool. Yeah, I know.
Dude, you're a cuck.
This 130-second video kickstarted his comeback and allowed him to return like he never went away. He also used this opportunity to attack Ethan, as he had spoken out against Leafy in the past as well.
People saying, oh, Leafy, come back. I would love to see Leafy come back and try to exist in the landscape today. You can't even curse, bro.
You're a fat, disgusting piece of shit.
His new content was also far more mature than before, mainly because he now focused exclusively on creators closer to his own size, eliminating one of the biggest criticisms of him constantly punching down on smaller creators. Things were looking up for Leafy and his remaining fans, but before he could regain his footing, he picked a fight with the wrong person and ended up paying dearly for it. You see, not long after his return, Leafy found his next target, Pokimane. In total, he uploaded about 10 videos on Poki going over everything, from the more reasonable takes like calling her out for silencing her critics by abusing the copyright system.
People have made videos about her and she's copyright strike them, the list goes on and on. If you make a video that is negative about her, she's gonna try to gun you. And I'm not the one saying that, that's her.
And I had spoken to my MCN and I was like, is this something that I can take down? Because like, I was getting a lot of annoying from it at the time.
To talking about her rumored secret boyfriend.
This part is just for you guys, you tier 3 subs. She has a boyfriend. Let me say that one more time. Dude, she has a boyfriend and you're pathetic.
However, just when he thought he'd found his next cash cow, someone he could milk for content for years to come, he got deleted off the face of the internet. A month after he started posting videos on Poki, YouTube permanently terminated his channel on the 21st of August. The reason they gave for this was his repeated violation of their harassment and bullying policies. This sudden termination came out of nowhere, since he didn't receive any strikes or warnings from YouTube prior to this point. As a comment eloquently puts it, Leafy was driving at top speed, and instead of slowing him down, they straight up put a brick wall in front of his car. The whole thing was fairly bizarre, and left other creators like Charlie questioning everything.
So first of all, I don't think any content creators should be celebrating Leafy's channel termination. Even if you absolutely hate Leafy, hate everything about him, have wet dreams where he's being sent away to jail for life in an isolation chamber, you still shouldn't be happy that he got banned this way, because to my understanding, he had 0 strikes on his account before it was completely just fucking eradicated from existence. And if it can happen to a 5 million subscriber channel, it can happen to any channel.
Now, when this happened, many put the blame on Poki, and understandably so. Poki, however, completely denied any involvement, in a tweet reading, "I know I'm going to get asked this, so I'd like to clarify, I had nothing to do with Leafy's ban." Some people were certainly skeptical of her denial, but here's the thing, it's quite possible that she was telling the truth. Think of it this way, YouTube was already gearing up to shut down Leafy back in late 2016 and early 2017. However, he then disappeared from the platform, dodging the ban for a few years. And when he returned, he immediately started going viral with videos attacking other creators, drawing attention to himself and finally receiving the ban he would have gotten years earlier. Put simply, his termination on YouTube was a long time coming. Leafy tried to keep the momentum going by shifting to Twitch and continuing his content there to moderate success. Unfortunately for him, Twitch moderation didn't want him on their platform either, and permabanned him for hateful conduct on September 11th of the same year. Then, in December, all of his backup channels were deleted from YouTube, and shortly after that, he was booted from Twitter as well, leaving no place on the internet he could call home. These terminations also had far-reaching consequences into the real world, as after getting banned, Leafy reportedly became an alcoholic and an addict.
I talk to Leafy like 3 times a month. Yeah. And 2 of those times
he's cracked out of his fucking mind. You know, my boy be doing like drugs, alcohol, like every day, dude.
But despite his life falling apart in real time, Leafy wasn't done trying to make a comeback after his Twitch ban. He tried everything, from giving relatively unknown platforms like Storyfire a shot, to returning to YouTube under the excuse that a new channel called Weefy was actually owned by a corporation and that he was just a hired talent. YouTube, however, saw through this weak disguise and terminated the channel less than 2 weeks after its creation. The only comeback attempt that didn't fail immediately was him streaming on Rumble, which had much less restrictive policies than Twitch. He joined the platform around April 2023, and even managed to amass over 40,000 followers. But Leafy being Leafy, he only lasted about 6 months on that platform before getting banned for his many anti-LGBT remarks where he referred to himself as a quote, of transgenders. He was also doing things like defending EDP of all people, which didn't help his case either. His latest comeback attempt was on Twitter, when one of his accounts on the platform got unbanned, something Leafy announced by tweeting, "N-word, we back." As is expected by this point, he was banned from Twitter once again shortly after his return, likely due to his unhinged posts. The last trace of him online was on his only remaining account on Instagram, where he posted something about getting a girl pregnant in January of this year, and he has stayed completely absent ever since. Leafy had one of the easiest jobs in the world. All he had to do was talk into his mic for 10 minutes whenever he had something interesting to say, play a random game for the same amount of time, and earn thousands of dollars from millions of views on the resulting video. Despite this, he somehow managed to fumble it all, and he has no one but himself to blame for his catastrophic downfall. Even when given a second, third, or fourth chance, he could have evolved his content beyond harassment and into something truly productive, but he stayed stubborn in his old ways and now has nothing left on the internet. Even the viewers who were once waiting for his return have all moved on, which begs the question, will he ever make a comeback? Given his track record so far, most probably. But will he succeed at this comeback? Unlikely, since none of the major platforms want anything to do with him. Maybe he can give Kick a try, but Leafy being Leafy, he'll likely get banned from there as well. But even Leafy's downfall looks simple compared to the chaos around Illuminati.
The horrific downfall of Illuminati will be studied for years to come. From being a respected YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers, to becoming one of the most hated creators in YouTube history. Since uploading my last 2 videos on her, which amassed 4 million views collectively, a lot has changed. She's been exposed by Penguin Zero, abandoned her YouTube channel, and is possibly running a secret channel. Up until March 2023, Blair enjoyed a successful career on YouTube, averaging roughly 8 million views per month and amassing over 1.7 million subscribers in her prime. However, all came crumbling down when she began to show her true colors. After idiotically starting a drama with Legal Eagle over alleged stolen editing styles, viewers began to look deeper into her history, and what they found was morbid to say the least. The stain on her otherwise good image gave the confidence to others who were affected by her obsessive and manipulative behavior to speak out, with allegations ranging from legal threats and attempts at censoring other creators to manipulating her employee into signing himself into debt with her. This would not only lead to me creating 2 videos breaking down the situation, but also a video by the most popular YouTube commentator, Penguin Zero, who would eventually create a video of his own to shed light on her problematic behavior and downfall.
This is a video that is long overdue, but I still just feel the need to finally mention the Illuminati situation.
Throughout the video, Charlie would share her drama with Legal Eagle as well as cover her general downfall story.
Never seen a channel go from as popular as she is to where she is now. I know it started when she accused Legal Eagle of plagiarizing her editing style, got biblically fucking clowned on for it, and then from there a ton of people came forward revealing how toxic and mean she is behind the scenes. But other than that, I haven't dove into like the 5 or 6 hours worth of cumulative like trash she has done.
However, Charlie would also make one key prediction on the future of her career.
I think Illuminati will continue this trajectory for maybe 6 more months tops. After that, she's going to start another channel using an AI voice model in order to keep doing these same kind of videos but start fresh and hope people don't connect her to it.
With Charlie's prediction in mind, let's take a look at what actually happened to her channel. From the moment Blair posted her widely criticized apology video, her channel began to deteriorate rapidly. Although the video was intended to address the controversy and clear her name, it was perceived as insincere and deflective, failing to address the core issues raised by her critics. This poor response significantly damaged her reputation, alienating a large portion of her audience who gave her the benefit of the doubt. Despite attempting to maintain a regular upload schedule, her content quality and viewership were clearly in decline. Videos that once easily garnered 300,000 views struggled to break 30k, and the comment section of her videos became full of criticism until she decided to turn off comments altogether. To make matters even worse, the dislike to like ratio on her videos further displayed what the YouTube community thought about her existing on the platform. Many of her remaining viewers watched out of curiosity rather than genuine interest, waiting to see if she would address the ongoing criticism. However, on the 16th of February 2024, she published her final video, marking over 100 days since her last upload. Numerous YouTubers have since speculated that Blair had finally abandoned her channel and left it in the dust, but that doesn't mean she's become inactive in other areas. Despite Blair destroying her career with her own actions, she still blames others for what happened, and currently seeks revenge by any means necessary. Thanks to the YouTuber Mad Catstar would get a glimpse of how far Blair was willing to go to get her revenge. Around December 2023, when Blair was trying to foreclose on Ozmedia's home, she also filed a lawsuit against him, Wonderstruck, and Felix the Kit Kat, an individual she once hired to dig up dirt on the clique and later hired. The basis of the lawsuit was that these three individuals had somehow breached a confidentiality agreement while under Blair's employment and were now defaming her. In the amended version, Blair's attorney wrote, "All the defendants' confidentiality agreements contain language pertaining to the employee's understanding that by entering the confidentiality agreements, they are obligated to, and plaintiff's goal is to, protect as confidential propriety information and ensure that all employees agree to maintain confidentiality of redacted information." The document mostly recounted Blair's history with all the defendants and stated that their videos or information shared about her were defamatory and had damaged her company. In Felix's case, he had only shared screenshots about what Blair had asked him to do, but that was enough for Blair to maliciously sue him, with the document reading, "Regarding these messages, defendant Felix edited selectively picked messages to create the appearance that Miss Blair made statements that she did not. There were two major issues with Blair's claims here. 1. The conversation in question was from 2020, a year before Felix signed the supposed confidentiality agreement. And 2, Felix only presented personal communication and not company-specific information. Blair's lawsuit was built on weak arguments and relied on vague language to support her claims. A good example of this was when Blair's lawyer referenced Wonderstruck's video on her, reading, "Defendant Wonderstruck created a 1 hour and 20-minute video with defendant Oz where both defendants make the following claims. That Miss Blair stole defendant Wonderstruck's car, that Miss Blair committed wage theft, when in reality, Blair simply deducted taxes out of his earnings and other claims." Throughout Wonderstruck's video, he never mentioned that Blair stole anything from him and only stated that she repossessed the car. To muddy the waters even further, Blair included words like quote and other claims unquote, which pointed out nothing specific, leaving things open for interpretation, a shady tactic that would come back to bite her down the line. For now, Oz would file a motion to dismiss Blair's lawsuit, and as you'd expect, it was very compelling, reading, "Plaintiff's complaint fails to articulate the alleged defamatory statements made, precluding any finding that such statements are plausibly, provably false or defamatory. The amended complaint further fails to identify any confidential or proprietary information that was misused by defendant Ozmedia. Plaintiff's entire amended complaint should be dismissed for failure to state a claim upon which relief may be granted." The document further debunked Blair's complaint by highlighting obvious issues, such as the majority of the facts being irrelevant to her claims of defamation, and the ones that had any relevance lacked substantial evidence to support them. In addition, Oz's lawyer stressed that Blair shouldn't be offered another chance to amend her complaints, since she already failed to do it before. What followed was a response from Blair's lawyer that basically reiterated irrelevant facts and further accused Oz of ruining her career, reading, "These false allegations have severely impacted plaintiff's reputation in the YouTube community. Plaintiffs were well-respected documentarians, a reputation which is waning if not all destroyed due to defendant Oz's actions. Even now, Blair refuses to take accountability for destroying her career or provide reasonable evidence to prove her erroneous claims. All she was doing was pointing fingers at her former friends and hoping the court would rule in her favor. Unfortunately for Blair, things weren't going to be that easy, as Oz's lawyer pointed out an outdated case law that her argument was built on. While the judge didn't act on Oz's Blair's motion to dismiss yet, they would acknowledge that Blair had failed to prove reasonable evidence to support her claims of defamation, and demanded that she would file a second amended complaint with sufficient evidence within 14 days. Reading, it is ordered, within 14 days, plaintiff may file a second amended complaint. All defamatory statements by all defendants shall be set out verbatim. You'd think with such leniency and clear instructions, Blair would get her act together and present a reasonable argument. But you'd be wrong. Not only did she fail to submit the amended complaint within the allotted 14 days, but she added even more unrelated facts along with more vague allegations. In Blair's amended complaint, she added extra details about her time with the 3 defendants and reinforced how their respective posts had damaged her online reputation. Regarding Oz, Blair claims that during her recovery from surgery, he convinced her to give him 6 months of mortgage payments upfront because the bank was going to foreclose on the house they were living in. But what makes things even stranger, Blair claims she didn't remember any of this due to the painkillers she took post-surgery, but stated that her sister and her friend did remember, so she went along with it. Blair later confronted Oz about the mortgage payments, claiming that Oz agreed to repay the money that was quote wrongfully coerced from her over 2 years. This was around the time that Oz found out she'd moved on to someone else, and Blair assumes that it motivated him to start a plot with Wonderstruck to ruin her career. Reading, Miss Blair is under the information and belief that it was around the time that all defendants began plotting to effectively ruin Miss Blair's business, reputation, and life. When referencing Oz's recent video on her, Blair asserts he made defamatory statements when he stated, "I even offered to work in a crypto farm for free to pay back the debt," to which Blair and her lawyer stated, quote, "These statements were defamatory because they were misrepresentations of the facts, which caused Miss Blair and Pyramid to be hated, ridiculed, shamed, and harmed plaintiff's business. These statements had the tendency to imply that Miss Blair engaged in financial coercion, causing some form of indentured servitude." All Blair was doing was recounting unrelated events and drawing correlation to the demise of her career without any solid proof. Sadly, this pattern would bleed into her statements about Wonderstruck and Felix. With Wonderstruck, Blair rehashed the issues they had over the car she leased to him and stated that after she took it back, he posted information and sparked outrage against her. As for Felix, Blair repeated the claims that sharing Discord screenshots was a breach of contract and part of their campaign to damage her image. Blair also accused Felix of making defamatory tweets when he said she uses the word retard in private. Reading, defendant Felix asserts that Miss Blair, though she publicly disapproves of the slur, uses it in private. This statement carries a defamatory meaning because it implies that Miss is both a hypocrite and a bigot. What followed were new motions to dismiss from both Oz and Felix, which poked even more holes in Blair's lawsuit. Starting with Felix's motion to dismiss, he indicated that throughout her lawsuit, Blair failed to indicate any instance where he breached the company's NDA. Reading,
the second amended complaint alleges one instance to support plaintiff's breach of contract against Mr. Felix, which relates to turning over private messages between himself and Ms. Blair that have nothing to do with proprietary information. The original complaint, the first amended complaint, and the second amended complaint all fail to identify any confidential or proprietary information that was misused by defendant Felix.
Oz's motion would go more in depth on how Blair blatantly ignored the court's order to state the exact defamatory statements he made. It was obvious to everyone that Blair didn't have a case against any of the defendants, but she still pushed to make another response. In the response to Felix's motion to dismiss, Blair tries to pass off her messages to him as propriety instructions from her company. Reading, it's worth noting the conversation was private. That means the information and data were not generally known outside the company. The disclosed conversation revealed instruction from the owner of Pyramid to a Pyramid employee regarding the use of Pyramid's data. Remember, the raw footage Blair asked Felix to go through wasn't specific to her company, but was shared by all members of Sad Milk, not to mention that the conversation in question was long before he started working for Blair. In essence, Blair was trying to present a simple order as top secret company information to give her case some legs to stand on. Blair's arguments would only get more unreasonable when she addressed Oz's motion to dismiss. All you have to do is look at the first few paragraphs. This case exists because plaintiff Blair began dating someone new and her ex-boyfriend, defendant Oz, did not like it. Rather than respect her choices, defendant began a social media revenge campaign against her by publishing false and harmful statements about her and her once lucrative business. The only thing her lawyers got right was that her business was once lucrative. The current state of Blair's business is not because Oz or Wonderstruck wanted revenge, but instead due to her own thirst for vengeance. Even now, the entire case was nothing more than a petty ploy to shift the blame and grasp the straws of her dying YouTube channel. Blair was so dedicated to her path for revenge that she'd go as far as filing a restraining order against them. Back in March 2024, an anonymous Reddit user posted 3 leaked documents regarding Blair's lawsuit to r/Illuminati. The documents included Oz's motion to dismiss, along with 2 civil protection orders from Blair, one against Oz and one against Wonderstruck. The civil protection orders dated back to 2023 and alleged Blair had suffered, quote, stalking, domestic abuse, and physical assault, unquote. In one of the documents, Blair had accused Oz of weaponizing his audience against her, making defamatory statements against her, and worst of all, claiming that he would physically assault their dog, Casper. While Oz could put up with all the other accusations, this was crossing the line. In a failed attempt at a restraining order back in June of last year, Blair is flat out lying and claiming I used to hit Jasper. Just food for thought. If I, God forbid, hurt Jasper, why would Blair be in tears at the end of her original video, stating that she would miss our friendship, and specifically how much of a best friend I was to Casper? I've had to publicly bite my tongue on so many of the claims she's made in the legal system, but I can only take so much. Twisting facts, documents, and even her own words weren't out of the question if it meant Blair could get some sense of revenge. Blair had previously used Oz and Casper's relationship to tug on viewers' heartstrings in her apology video. But now, she was using it to frame him as an abusive pet owner. Only time will tell what facts she'll pervert next in her bid for revenge. Blair's YouTube career is dead, and she killed it. However, that hasn't stopped her from trying to bend the legal system to put the blame on someone else, filing one baseless claim after the other in an attempt to recuperate some of the revenue she rightfully lost. Unfortunately for her, the courts don't seem to be ruling in her favor, but it should be noted, I am not a lawyer and do not have much knowledge in America's legal system. I am simply a smooth-brained YouTuber, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Penguin Zero's theory on her running another YouTube channel with an AI voice is highly likely, as Blair clearly knows how to get popular on YouTube, and if she kept her personality and drama starting away from the channel, she would likely still be successful and on her way to 2 million subscribers. Instead, she is wasting time and resources trying to sue and ruin the lives of her ex-employees. But sadly for her, the only life she's going to end up ruining is her own. And that's where I was expecting the video to end. However, on the 8th of June 2024, everything would change, as Blair would see a victory in court. As shared in Madcaster's video titled Big Lawsuit Victory for Illuminati, the judge would deny Oz's anti-slap defense as he did not feel the statements were a public matter of interest, despite being made on YouTube. The judge's decision came as a surprise to many, considering the public nature of the dispute and the widespread attention it garnered online. By denying Oz's anti-slap motion, the judge effectively allowed Blair's defamation claim to proceed, giving her a small victory in the ongoing legal battle. Even more shockingly, the judge also allowed Blair to add a new claim for computer fraud in the second amended complaint, despite the fact that this was beyond the scope of what the court had authorized. It seems the judge has granted Blair an unusual level of leniency in amending her complaint. While Blair may have scored a win in court, it's important to remember that this does not necessarily mean that the judge believes her allegations are true. The case will still need to be determined at a trial, where both sides will have the opportunity to present evidence to support their claims. Regardless of the outcome, one thing remains certain. The fall of Illuminati will go down as one of the biggest downfalls in YouTube history, and I will continue covering the updates on the situation.
And once that situation started unraveling, the ending became almost impossible to avoid.
Few YouTubers have managed to destroy their reputation as thoroughly or as publicly as Blair, aka Illuminati. She used every shady and unethical tactic in her arsenal to exert absolute control over both her employees and partners. From dishing out verbal and mental abuse to exploiting the legal system with fraudulent contracts and baseless lawsuits. However, it all blew up in her face, and she's now paying the price for being an unapologetic bully to everyone around her. And after nearly 2 years of her desperate attempts to play the victim, we've finally reached the end of Blair's self-destruction saga. But as you'll see later in the video, some people are not happy with this outcome. I've already covered everything that's happened previously in great detail, but if you haven't watched those videos, here's a super quick recap. It all started when Blair falsely accused Legal Eagle's editors of plagiarizing her videos. This started a wave of backlash against her, resulting in her getting exposed for being a manipulative and toxic person by some of her ex-employees. They accused her of being extremely vindictive with clear anger management issues. These claims were also verified by her ex-partner Oz Media, who also spoke out about her abuse during their relationship. After seeing her online reputation getting destroyed in real time, Blair responded by filing a defamation lawsuit against against Oz and others, likely in an effort to punish them for speaking out against her. Which brings us back to the present, and a lot has happened since my last video. The first major update came in October 2024, when Oz released a brief 3.5-minute video titled A Quick Lawsuit Update. He started the video by giving an estimate on how long this case could potentially last if it reaches the court.
Starting date, and won't begin discovery for another 4 or even 6 months, perhaps honestly longer. And this is with a year of back and forth legal battle.
Realizing that a drawn-out trial wouldn't benefit anyone, Oz's legal team attempted to negotiate a settlement in June 2024. Unfortunately, after a week of back-and-forth discussions, these negotiations failed completely, leaving trial as the only viable option. However, before moving forward, Oz's team requested an extension to strengthen their counterclaim.
My legal team began the production of my counterclaims. My counterclaims needed an additional extension of time as my legal team wanted to make sure as many of their I's and T's were dotted and crossed, putting this into late July. We needed to add additional parties, pushing it further into August for any hope of a release. On top of this, my counterclaims now needed approval from the judge to add these additional parties to the counterclaims. The judge did not accept the counterclaims until around September 28th.
This delay gave Blair and her team the time to think about the reality of their case. By this point, they were already a year into this lawsuit, and likely realized just how long and arduous this legal battle was going to be. So, after the extension period ended, both parties mutually agreed to give mediation another chance. This time, the process was going to be overseen by an independent third party, and was scheduled for the 3rd of December. However, given Blair's unending ego and pettiness, most people assumed that this mediation would likely fail as well, but they were still hopeful and supportive of Oz's decision to give it another try, with one comment reading, "We are here for you, Oz. Fingers crossed that you can finally break free from the torment Blair has put you through. You deserve to have peace and not to worry about this legal garbage anymore. But even if the new mediation fails, we will still be here to help you." After uploading this video, Oz stopped talking about the lawsuit on all of his socials, and it remained that way until January 1st, 2025, when Oz uploaded his video titled The Final Lawsuit Update. The video opened up with him giving an update on the case, and to everyone's surprise, the mediation was a success.
Blair and I have agreed to settle this matter confidentially through mediation. The lawsuit has been dismissed against all parties without any admission of fault by any party.
Put simply, Blair has decided to drop the case against Oz and the others. However, this does not mean that she admits to being wrong. The case is simply cancelled without either side winning or losing. Which begs the question, why? Why would Blair, someone who's been hell-bent on destroying the lives of those who spoke out against her, back out so easily? Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we'll get an official answer anytime soon, because right after announcing the results, Oz mentioned that both parties had signed a non-disclosure agreement, aka an NDA.
As a part of the non-disclosure agreement, it should be known that Blair will not be sharing her side of the story behind this dispute, nor will I. No one should contact either of us further about this case or ask us to comment on it, or each other.
So neither of them can say anything publicly. And the top comment under Oz's video sums this up perfectly. She seriously pulled an "okay, you win but don't tell anyone" lol. That being said, while we're not getting any more details from Oz or Blair directly, there's been enough evidence over the past 2 years to make an educated guess. The most likely reason for Blair stepping back is also the most obvious. It was getting too expensive. As we briefly discussed earlier, all indicators pointed towards this case dragging on for a very long time. A year has already passed without much progress, and it could have easily lasted 2 or 3 more years depending on how it went in court. In his second to last update video from October, Oz even talked about how expensive this legal fight was getting and how much more it could end up costing him.
By the time that mediation does occur, this lawsuit will have cost over $80,000, and we haven't even entered discovery yet, so this very well could cost several more years of my life and hundreds of thousands of dollars down the line.
And this was just Oz's side of things. Blair has likely spent even more in legal fees by this point, because she's the one who filed the lawsuit in the first place. And unlike Oz, who's getting direct financial support from his fans through a GoFundMe campaign, Blair has seemingly no steady source of income. The last video she posted was in February of 2024, and views on existing content have dropped to an all-time low. So her monthly earnings on YouTube are a couple $100s at best, which is basically nothing for a channel with over 1.1 million million subscribers. I also looked through her Patreon account, and at the time of writing this, she has only 26 paying members, which amounts to nothing more than a couple $100 at best once again. And it's likely that most of these 26 paid members are people who simply forgot to cancel their subscriptions. Put simply, Blair doesn't have any reliable source of income to fund this lawsuit. Most people on the internet also believe this to be the case, with one Redditor writing, "I think she probably does not have much money left to sustain the legal case. Even if it was always and clearly about torturing people for no other reason than her being a disturbed sadist, if she could, she certainly would continue to hurt people, as she is scum, in my opinion." That said, it's also possible that her decision to drop the case is driven by something far more sinister than just running out of money, because in addition to the toxicity and manipulation, Oz also accused Blair of something downright criminal. According to him, she used company funds for personal gain, which would count as embezzlement and is completely illegal.
She also would describe to me, and while I can't remember if this exact word was ever used, she essentially explained to me that because she used company funds to assist me, that she had committed embezzlement. And by converting the amount that I owed her into a loan with her company, this would save her skin legally.
Now, the thing is, Blair is essentially suing Oz for defamation, claiming that he made up lies about her online to destroy her reputation. So, for her to win this case, she would have to prove that the accusation of embezzlement is also untrue. And if she fails to prove her innocence, that could turn this from a civil case to a criminal case, resulting in her facing a hefty fine and a lengthy prison sentence. So, there's a possibility that she dropped the case to prevent her shady finances from being exposed in court. Either that, or her legal team realized they'd lose if the case went to trial, so they told her to back out. And one YouTube comment under Oz's final update sums up this theory perfectly. So basically, her lawyers take a look at the counterclaim and told Blair she basically has no out, and the fact you were even attempting to offer her one despite all the evidence made against her made you a literal saint. So it was take your offer or face the music. That said, it's important to remember that most of this is speculation based on what's publicly available. Unless either party is willing to risk legal trouble by breaking the NDA, we're probably not getting the full story anytime soon. But at least it's over. I guess that's a good thing, right? For some, yes, but for others, this was probably the worst possible way for the whole controversy to end. The internet has split into 3 separate camps over this outcome. The first camp includes people who think Oz Media acted like a pushover. They think Oz should have gone through with the case, made a part 2 to his expose, and made an example out of Blair. Like this post on Reddit which read, "I had a discussion within a Discord server of a small commentary YouTuber, not gonna say who, about the final lawsuit update, and some people seemed rather disappointed in Oz, believing that he's been a pushover the entire time and basically breaking his promise of exposing Blair of his damning allegations. But he just wanted the drama to be over. What do you guys think?" And while there's no justification for attacking Oz just because he agreed to end the case, it is somewhat understandable. Think of it this way. The Illuminati drama has been going on for nearly 2 years at this point. Hundreds of thousands of people have spent countless hours fussing over details and essentially consuming the drama as it unfolded. For such a huge controversy to wrap up in such a mundane way, it's bound to leave some people feeling a bit frustrated. Like this one person on Reddit who wrote, "The human empathetic side of me is happy that Oz can be done with this all. The drama fiend in me is pissed off. She waited this long when we were close to getting more. It's not like this would have changed anything, but I really do feel like there was a lot if the second video was going to be as big as it sounded. Even then, there is no rational reason to direct this frustration at Oz, who is essentially the victim in this case. Which brings us to the second group, who believe Blair essentially got off scot-free, considering everything she's done. To them, this is a loss for Oz, who had gone through so much and ultimately had to settle without receiving the justice he deserved. Some are even speculating that Blair might not even hold up to her end of the bargain, like this one person who wrote, "To be honest, I don't think she'll respect her end of the bargain. She demonstrated to be a manipulative, abusive, lying, and untrustworthy person. She's probably gonna lay low for a while and then start talking about her traumatic experience while omitting crucial details, but also not mentioning anything that is related to this case in particular." Another person expressed a similar sentiment, with added worry about Oz's safety moving forwards, stating, "I really hope she doesn't try and use this non-disclosure agreement to harass him if he so much as mentions her or the toxic relationship he had with her in one of his videos. And considering how she's acted so far, I wouldn't be surprised if she took a path like this." That said, the vast majority of people are just happy that Oz managed to escape the clutches of his abuser. This is something that Oz himself mentioned when talking about the upcoming mediation in his previous update.
it.
I would also like to take this opportunity to rid my life of Blair, to move my channel back to its previous goofy content, and to, more importantly, move on from my ex whose legal charge has infested my day-to-day life, and focus on a future with my partner where we can both move forward and heal.
And all things considered, this is the best outcome for Oz. Who knows what could have happened if the case had gone to trial? As for the people who think Blair got off too easy, that's simply not true. When this whole thing started back in 2023, Blair had a successful YouTube channel with 1 million loyal fans who accepted everything she said as truth. Fast forward to today, and she has nothing. Her YouTube channel is dead, and everyone who once looked up to her now see her as the egotistical, petty, and manipulative person she is. Which raises an important question. What's next for Blair? Well, we don't know for sure. She might abandon everything and disappear from the internet completely, or she might try to return to YouTube after the dust settles. But considering how thoroughly she's destroyed her reputation, any attempt at a comeback is almost guaranteed to fail. The final story shows what happens when trying to expose someone else completely backfires. Not too long ago, the YouTuber In Praise of Shadows was a relatively successful media analyst with a decent following. He delved into the meanings behind horror movies, shows, and artworks, all while subtly promoting his left-leaning political views. But then, out of nowhere, he posted an over 3-hour-long video slandering and exposing Wendigoon, Shoeonhead, Brandon Buckingham, and a handful of other prominent YouTubers. This video bombed harder than Twitter rebranding to X. It shattered the reputation In Praise of Shadows spent 5 years building, overnight, and made him the laughingstock of the internet. It's got so bad that when you search for his channel on YouTube, the first video you see is about how disastrously bad this last one video was.
In reality, you're a delusional, hateful hypocrite, and this is the worst video I've ever seen.
On the 25th of May 2024, Zane, the host of In Praise of Shadows, uploaded a now-deleted video titled Bad Conservative Horror Movies, a video that seemed no different to his previous content at a first glance, but started off on an extremely bizarre topic that had little to do with his title or thumbnail. He opened the video with a lengthy rant about a terrible horror convention he attended a couple months prior, labeling it as quote redneck and quote unprofessional.
Over the weekend, I traveled to Concord, North Carolina to attend this year's Mad Monster Party, which was far and away the most redneck and unprofessional convention that I had ever been to in my life.
This introduction alone hinted at the political bias that would taint the rest of the arguments in his video. And after complaining about small details like the distance to the parking lot and material used for the weekend pass, he then presents a theory of his that's a stretch at best and utterly absurd at worst.
I think there's actually not one, but two distinct horror communities. One that is more concerned with writing and thinking about how our own experiences and world are reflected through art. And then you have another that is more conservative and traditionally capital A American, and is based more in basic consumerism and viewing movies strictly as entertainment and nothing else.
So, according to him, horror fans with right-leaning political views are incapable of appreciating the subtext and artistry behind horror movies and shows, basically calling them intellectually inferior. Now, you might think that after a nearly 25-minute rant about the conservative leanings of the convention's organizers, Zane would finally get to the point of the video. But shocker, he doesn't. Instead, he switches gears to talk about how rough his life has been due to the criticism he received on his video analyzing the Hills Have Eyes movie franchise.
In the time since making that video, very often it is the case that when conservatives want to criticize me, they will go back to that and use it as a weapon.
He then spends another 25 minutes or so reading mean tweets that criticize his views on the beloved movie franchise and complaining about receiving these tweets. During this, he also states this:
by twisting my words in very bad faith to make it look like I said something that I obviously did not intend if you had watched the video. Usually in an attempt to make me either look crazy or cartoonish or racist.
Which is extremely ironic considering the nonsensical statements he makes about other creators later in the video. For context, he's mostly talking about tweets like these that label him as racist due to what he said in his analysis video. However, what makes Zane's self-victimization completely baseless is that regardless of what he thinks, the racism allegations are not entirely untrue. So, he not only fails to acknowledge that what he said was wrong, but also
also labels all criticism of his words as something right-leaning conservatives say to, quote, attack him. Here, he also talks at length about how he's barely making ends meet with the money he's earning from YouTube, which is an unusual thing to discuss in a video about horror movies. However, Brandon Buckingham offers a pretty good explanation in his reaction video of what Zane is really trying to get at.
There was a month last year where I only made $500 in ad revenue. I can't live off that.
What does he think he will accomplish by saying stuff like this? He thinks he's just the sweetest little birthday boy and he's not deserving of any criticism whatsoever. He thinks he deserves success and money and praise, but instead, all he's getting is hate and he's broke.
Up until this point though, Zane's video has been nothing but ramblings about barely connected topics like bad horror conventions, the online criticism he's received, and his financial situation. However, an hour and 20 minutes into the video, he said something really strange.
Trust me when I say that conservatives are perfectly capable, just like anyone else, of being funny and learning how to produce art, but in practice is dangerous and allows the slow infiltration of conservative beliefs into places that they should not be allowed.
This made it clear that the video isn't about horror or movies. Instead, it's about rejecting the conservative belief system and everything relating to it. Understanding this bit would also help make sense of what the entire controversy is about. Zane's weird statements regarding Wendigoon and other YouTubers. But before we get into the specifics of what he said, it's important to note that the issue people have with Zane's video isn't that he said something mean about their favorite YouTubers. Instead, the majority of the backlash stems from the fact that Zane makes some outlandish claims about the lives and true intentions of these YouTubers. And as you'll see, he does not present any solid evidence or logical explanation to back up his words. Over 2 hours and 40 minutes into the video, Zane shifts his focus from criticizing conservatives in general to targeting one specific YouTuber, Wendigoon. He starts his rambling with some serious allegations.
That, as you will hopefully come to see, should not be seen as the wholesome, southern, friendly dad persona that he has publicly constructed around himself in the past several years. And that, like many people who talk about being Christians as much as he does, has a dark past with deep ties to far-right extremism.
Then he goes on to state that he does not respect Wendigoon's opinions because he's rich and young.
I have no need or desire to hear 5 hours of opinions on Blood Meridian from a 21-year-old millionaire.
Dismissing Wendigoon's media analysis skills due to his financial background. So let's get this straight. He complains about his own money problems and then bashes a YouTuber for being young and financially stable. This not only exposes the true intentions behind his so-called criticism, but also reveals a glaring hypocrisy. Also, by this logic, if the Embrace of Shadows channel becomes successful and makes Zane rich, will his own critiques and opinions on movies become irrelevant as well? Next, Zane claims that Wendigoon follows social media accounts of controversial figures like Kyle Rittenhouse, who shot and killed 2 people during a protest in 2020. He then shows a screenshot of a tweet that Wendigoon supposedly made in support of Rittenhouse. However, he also immediately admits that there is no proof the screenshot is real to begin with.
Although, since I did not take these screenshots, they do have to be taken with a grain of salt.
So, if these screenshots could be fake, why is he using them as supposed proof of Wendigoon's support for Rittenhouse? Well, in his own words, it's because Wendigoon never publicly claimed that these screenshots are fake. So surely, there must be some truth to them.
These have been widespread across the internet, and to my knowledge, I can find no examples of him directly saying that these are not real. So he may or may not have actually followed these accounts or supported them.
Even though it's entirely possible that Wendigoon might not have seen these screenshots before, or is choosing to ignore them on purpose to avoid any further drama. It's not difficult to create a fake screenshot, so jumping to conclusions based solely on silence is completely illogical. A comment on Wendigoon's official subreddit also presents this whole argument from a different perspective. You ever heard of hate following a person? That's what's probably doing with those sus accounts. So even if we assume that these screenshots are real, just because Wendigoon follows Rittenhouse doesn't mean he agrees with his political views. The next argument Zane brings up is even more ridiculous, with evidence that can only be described as laughable. According to Zane, Wendigoon is the mastermind behind the Boogaloo Boys extremist group, because the group's name is derived very similar to Wendigoon's old username, Boogaloo Boy. Unfortunately for him, Wendigoon clarified in a Reddit post that he has nothing to do with the group. He explained that he originally used the term Boogaloo based on Che Guevara's code word for revolution, as he's always been a proponent of freedom and liberty. However, as the term became more mainstream, it was hijacked by far-right groups, and its original meaning was distorted into something completely different. Upon realizing its new connotation, Wendigoon completely distanced himself from it and began posting media analysis videos under his current channel name. Despite this clarification, Zane still insists that Wendigoon has ties to the Boogaloo Boys group because he wears Hawaiian shirts in his videos.
Also, it should be noted that the Boogaloo Boys are known for wearing Hawaiian shirts. And guess who else always has on a Hawaiian shirt, despite the fact that he publicly totally does not share in their beliefs, guys.
Does this mean that anyone who wears Hawaiian shirts is connected to this extremist group? Here, Zane also nitpicks on the exact words Wendigoon uses in his Reddit post regarding the Boogaloo Boys.
People who are centrist, or on the left, do not use the phrasing Antifa members. The only people who say that are the ones that see Antifa as some sort of homogenous radical left-wing activist group.
As if saying Antifa members instead of just Antifa somehow proves he holds alt-right beliefs. After these illogical arguments, Zane then moves on to attacking people Wendigoon has interacted with, online or in person, accusing them of being part of the same racist alt-right group as Wendigoon. He starts with Turkey Tom.
Wendigoon is very publicly friends with Turkey Tom. They have been seen together on multiple occasions, and I've seen online mentions that Tom was either at his wedding or at the very least was invited.
And why does Zane think Turkey Tom is alt-right? Because of some dumb stuff he said on the internet as a teenager over 6 years ago. Next, Zane targets the internet historian, accusing him of being alt-right because he once jokingly said his birthday was on the 20th of April, which also happens to be Hitler's birthday. He completely ignores that April 20th is also 420, the haha funny infamous weed day. He then continues to mention a number of other YouTubers who had some positive interactions with Wendigoon, including Brandon Buckingham, Shoonhead, Oombaville, and some ordinary gamer, all while making absurd statements about each one of them. For instance, this is what he says about Brandon Buckingham.
He is friends with Brandon Buckingham, a gun YouTuber who has been accused of threatening
completely ignoring the fact that the grape allegations came from Sneeko of all people and were not backed by any evidence. Similarly, he accuses Shoonhead of being a quote conservative masquerading as a leftist because a joke she made on Twitter, taking her words out of context and presenting them as malicious, which is ironic, considering he complained about the same thing happening to him earlier in the video.
Very often it is the case that when conservatives want to criticize me, they will go back to that and use it as a weapon, by twisting my words in very bad faith to make it look like I said something that I obviously did not intend if you had watched the video.
Speaking of irony, near the end of the video, Zane says this about the area Wendigoon grew up in.
It is about as white as you could possibly get. Deep Appalachia is very white country, and for the most part, is exceptionally racist.
Essentially labeling a whole community of people as racists just because they are white and live in the Appalachian region of the US. Isn't this type of stereotyping based on race racist in and of itself? The same thing Zane has been trying to accuse Wendigoon of being? Finally, Zane ends the video by calling for Wendigoon's cancellation, saying that he should not be allowed in public because of the alleged racism, even though he did not provide a single credible piece of evidence to back his claims.
But the reason that I care is because this does not belong in horror, or anywhere. I care deeply about horror, and everything that he does has demonstrated so far in his career that he should not be welcomed in our spaces, or even, just in public in general.
Even if we ignore the blatant misrepresentation of facts and absurd arguments with no logical backing, the whole video feels off from start to finish. It's like a poor attempt at creating an Hbomberguy video, except without everything that makes Hbomberguy's content engaging, namely his research, humor, and evidence. But why make such a video in the first place, when there are plenty of horror media franchises left to analyze? Well, the obvious answer is views. You see, Zane's channel has been in decline since late 2021, gaining literally 0 new subscribers for several months. It's no secret that making videos about other creators is an effective way to gain views. Just look at the vegan teacher whose entire career is supported by this concept. It's possible that Zane made this video to farm views from the controversy and drama it would generate, but unfortunately for him, it backfired spectacularly, and the backlash was immediate. Brandon Buckingham led the charge as one of the first YouTubers to respond to Zane's slanderous statements. In a tweet reading, "Hey Prey Shadows, going through every one of Wendigoon's friends and insulting them to try and paint him in a bad light makes you seem like a desperate and pathetic freak." Brandon also sarcastically praises Zane for using a picture of his grandpa after his brain surgery, reading, "Also, using a photo of my grandpa after his brain surgery is super cool of you. You seem like a great guy. I want to shake your hand." In a later tweet, Brandon points out the sheer insanity of two of the worst statements Zane made in his video. 1. Labeling every white person living in Appalachia as racist, and 2. Saying that Wendigoon should not be allowed in public spaces because he's conservative. In a tweet reading, "I forgive you for thoughtlessly defaming me, but claiming all white people in deep Appalachia should be assumed to be racist, and saying Wendigoon should not be allowed in public because of his assumed beliefs really shows how hateful and insane you are." The YouTube community didn't hold back either. They started ripping apart Zane's absurd accusations line by line. For example, in his video, Zane tried to portray the YouTuber donut operator as a bad person by criticizing his content.
For example, one of his videos is titled "Predator Takes Shotgun to the Face" and features a picture of him smiling in the corner of the thumbnail next to an image of a terrified man about to be executed by cops, with the text that reads, "Head removal."
To which someone posted, "Oh no, Wendigoon is friends with a guy who made fun of a PDF file who was rightfully shot. The absurd horror. Maybe we should check your hard drive." Which is a fair point. What's absurd is that the donut operator video Zane mentioned shows a predator getting shot by the police after he pulled a gun and tried to shoot the officers. So mentioning this in the video as something that makes donut operator, and by extension Wendigoon, bad people, just makes Zane look like a PDF file defender. And as a reply to this tweet states, "What's up with leftists getting very defensive in behalf of PDF files?" As if the backlash on Twitter wasn't enough, the creator Zane slandered, like some ordinary gamer, Brandon Buckingham, and Shoeonhead, also published full videos debunking his accusations and pointing massive holes in his arguments. Brandon also reached out to Wendigoon and asked for his response on this whole situation. And while everyone else was making fun of Zane for his terrible takes, Wendigoon's response was quite sane and mature, despite all the outlandish claims Zane made against him.
He seems to hate me a lot, which is fine. Not everyone has to like me. Have I ever said anything to this guy? Have I ever been rude to him, said anything about him? And I don't think I have. I've been a person that's had trouble forgiving other people, or like I've just harbored, hate towards other people in my life, and it's not fun to keep kind of this anger locked up. And it sounds like there's a lot of spitefulness. I'm not sure what I've done. The points he espoused in the video is that, it's because I followed him, because I liked his video. He took us something else. Maybe that's all. Maybe there's more. I don't know. But whatever it is, I'm sorry if I've attributed to that in any way. And regardless, I'm sorry he feels that way.
He even went as far to apologize to Zane just in case he ever did anything to hurt his feelings.
To him directly, I'm sorry. For this perception of anything I've given you. I'm sorry if I've ever devalued from you or your channel. I apologize, and I sincerely mean it. I hope you find whatever you're looking for. I want everyone, regardless if they like me or not, to do well. Christ didn't say love people who are nice to you. He just said love people. If you say stuff online, you're going to get pushback for it if it's, any kind of controversial, but I hope you don't let that deter you in the long run. I hope you can continue to pursue your dreams. I promise I will not try to stand in the way of that, and I hope none of my followers do.
This calm and collected response further reinforced the faith Wendigoon's fans had in him. It also served as direct evidence against everything Zane tried to convey in his video. Like this comment on YouTube mentions, ironically, In Praise of Shadow's video on him only really succeeded in giving Wendigoon positive clout, indirectly helping him. Of course, not every YouTuber Zane mentioned in the video responded with such kindness. Oompaville, for example, decided to go on the offensive a bit.
All I can say, every time I see something like this, I think of that fucking scene from Billy Madison at the end.
Mr. Madison, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Zayn, on the other hand, was also feeling the pressure from this immense backlash, leading to a lackluster response that did little to restore his online reputation. His video got ratioed to oblivion as soon as it went live, with over 27,000 dislikes in total. In response, Zayn first deleted the entire 30-minute segment about Wendigoon, and then removed the video from his channel altogether, likely to dodge any more backlash. However, he made the situation worse for himself by trying to argue his way out of the controversy on Twitter. You see, in one of his response tweets, Brandon said that Zayn was moody because he looked like he had low testosterone and that he should exercise more, to which Zayn responded by saying, "You using homophobic language to me, though in calling me a low testosterone freak, does not change my opinions about you. My base thoughts remain the same, even though I should have said them differently and not let that cloud my writing." In other words, Zayn still stood by everything he said about Brandon and probably others. He just realized he needed to phrase it better. Brandon immediately shot back and called out Zayn for continuing to slander him and making him seem like a villain by twisting his words. After spreading false accusations that I threatened to grape someone, this guy is now claiming I am homophobic because I said he seems like he has low testosterone. You are such a victim. Brandon further clarified, "I had no idea you were homosexual. I was calling you a low testosterone freak for being such a miserable, moody asshole who baselessly slandered me in an attempt to demonize a close friend of mine." This humiliation, combined with the backlash of hundreds of other Twitter users, forced Zayn to private his Twitter account. Unfortunately for Zayn, the trouble was far from over. Someone had leaked the post he made for his Patreon supporters. Now, to be fair, there are some parts of this post that are pretty logical considering what went down, like Zayn apologizing for engaging himself in the wrong way and promising to avoid similar projects in the future. However, immediately after this, he goes back to saying that whatever he said in the video was right, reading, "I thought that I was doing good here, and I think to an extent I did do some good, but I could have gone about it differently." He also made a community post on his YouTube channel with similarly mixed statements, apologizing while also trying to play the victim card, with a tweet from Chris the Narc reading, "He put out a community post saying he has received harassment. I do not condone it, but you kind of invoke karma when you straight misreport or lie about people." And just when you think he couldn't dig himself a deeper hole, someone leaks his posts from his Discord server, and he's still in complete denial and believes he's 100% in the right, with a message reading, "Oh yeah, nobody in the video has actually refuted any of what I said lol, they only point out small individual things that are wrong, but don't actually go as far to say that what I said wasn't right." At this point, it's clear that no counter-argument will make Zayn fully admit that what he said about Wendigoon and other YouTubers was baseless and lacked any real evidence. If it's not clear by now, in Zayn's mind, the only correct opinion is his own, and everyone else is just a misinformed bully who's harassing him online for stating the truth. Unfortunately, it looks like there's nothing the rest of us can do to make him see the light and find the error in his thinking. As for his career on YouTube, the future of his channel is in his own hands. Most people will move on to the next big controversy within a few weeks and forget all about Zayn's 3.5 hours of ramblings. And while a handful of people would keep reminding him of his mistakes, their feedback doesn't really matter in the long run. The thing is, Zayn did find some success from this whole debacle. Since posting the controversial video, his Patreon supporters have increased by over 45%. This gives him the chance to get back on his feet. All he has to do is stay away from future controversy and make high quality videos on the topics which made him popular in the first place.